සුබෝදෑසනක් මේ මහා පරිසර පද්ධතිය තුළ අප තවත් එක් කාණ්ඩයක් පමණක් බව මිනිසුන්ට අමතක වී ඇති යුගයක මනසින් උසස් වූ අප මිහිතලේ අපේ සහෝදරයන් සමග ගැටෙනා මොහොතක ශ්‍රී ලංකා විද්‍යාභිවර්ධන සංගමයේ විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්ති කමිටුව වෙනුවෙන් සත්ව පලිබෝධ කළමනාකරණය නම් වූ මේ විද්වත් සංවාදාත්මක කතිකාවට ඔබ සැම හෘදයාංගම පිළිගනිමු. තවත් කල් වේලා නොයවා පැමිණ සිටින සියලුම අමුත්තන් නිල වශයෙන් පිළිගැනීමට ශ්‍රී ලංකා විද්‍යාභිවර්ධන සංගමයේ ගරු සභාපති මහාචාර්ය උදේනි නවගම මහතාටයි මෙම ආරාධනය.
සුබ උදෑසනක් වේවා සියලු දෙනාටම. අද අපගේ සම්පත්දායකත්වයේ සපයන සම්මානිත මහාචාර්ය විද්‍යාජෝති සරත් කොටගම මැතිතුමනි, මේ අවස්ථාවට පැමිණ සිටින ශ්‍රී ලංකා විද්‍යාභිවර්ධන සංගමයේ හිටපු සභාපතිවරුන් සහ සියලුම සමාජිකයන් සහ විශේෂයෙන් මම මතක් කරන්න ඕන හෙක්ටර් කොබ්බෑකඩුව ගොවි පර්යේෂණ ආයතනයේ පුහුණු මධ්‍යස්ථානයෙන් පැමිණි ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරී මහාචාර්ය සන්දික මැතිතුමනි, එහි අධ්‍යක්ෂක ආචාර්ය සමන්ත මැතිතුමා සහ සියලුම නිලධාරී මණ්ඩලය සහ විවිධ ආයතන නියෝජනය කරමින් මෙහි පැමිණි ඔබ සියලු දෙනාම මෙම අවස්ථාවට ඉතා ගෞරවයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අද මේ මාතෘකාව කාලීන මාතෘකාවක්. අපි මේ මාතෘකාව විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්ති කමිටුව සාකච්ඡා කරාම අපේ සම්මානිත මහාචාර්ය විද්‍යාජෝති සරත් කොටගම මැතිතුමන් සමග ඔහු තමයි මේ අදහස අපිට දැන්වුවේ මේක ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක් නෙමෙයි කියලා. මට දැනුත් මතක් කළා මම ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක් කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. මේක වෙනස් ආකාරයක කතිකාවතක්. ඒ කතිකාවතේ තමයි අපි කතා කරන්නේ සත්ව පලිබෝධ කළමනාකරණය කියන එක. ඉතින් මං හිතන්නේ මම ඒක ගැන හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. අපේ මහාචාර්යතුමා ඒ අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු කරයි. ඉතින් ඔබ සියලු දෙනාම නැවත වතාවක් මේ පැමිණි වැඩසටහනට පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ වගේම මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ වැඩසටහන ඔබගේ පරිචය සහ මේ දැනුම වෙනස් කරයි කියලා. මේ අපි අද සහභාගී වෙන වැඩසටහන තුරින් ඉතින් මාධ්‍යවේදීන් පැමිණ සිටිනවා. අශෝක ඩයස් මැතිතුමා, විද්‍යුසර සංග්‍රහයේ කතුරුතුමා සියලු දෙනාම අපි අගය කරනවා. මේ මුද්‍රිත මාධ්‍ය ඒ වගේම විද්‍යුත් මාධ්‍ය සියලු දෙනාම මේ වැඩසටහනට අපි පිළිගන්නවා සහ ඔබගේ පැමිණීම අගය කරනවා. මම හිතනවා අපි මේ මාතෘකාව අපි ඉදිරියට ගෙනියා යුතුයි සහ කතා කළ යුතුයි. කතා බහක් ඇති කළ යුතු මාතෘකාවක් ගැන අපි කතා බහ කරන්නේ. ඉතින් ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කර සිටිනවා අපේ සම්මානිත මහාචාර්ය විද්‍යාජෝති සරත් කොටගම මැතිතුමන්ට ඔබගේ කතිකාවත පටන් ගන්න ලෙස. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Make a correct, not a presentation, but in turn, if needed, here. හරි ඒක මේ අයිබෝන් සියලු දෙනාටම වෙල්කම් thank you for අත වශයෙන්ම මේ කතිකාවක් වශයෙන් දිය යුතුයි කියලා ඔබේ මන්ද අපි විද්‍යා වර්ධන සංගමයේ විසින් මේක කතා විය යුතු දෙයක් මට ඒක මම පටන් ගන්නවා මගේ ගෝලෙක් මට කියපු කතාවක්. සර් කියන්න දන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වා. මං කිව්වා ඇයි මොකද කෙරුවේ මම? සර්ට මොනතර කතාව කළා ඇති වෙන්න ගැව්වා. එයා කිව්වා සර්ට කියන්න තිබුණේ කතරගම දෙවියන් වහන්සේට එක වාහනයක් ඇති. ඇත්තනේ. කතරගම දෙවියන්නෙත් එක වාහනයක්. ඉතින් අනිත් වාහන මොනවා කරන්නද එතකොට? ඒ කාර්යය ඉටු කරන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම කිව්වනම් සර් ඕක වෙනස් වෙනවා කිව්වා. මාත් කියන්නේ මගේ ඉතින් එහෙම මූලධර්මයක් බොහෝ විට බොහෝ අවස්ථාවලදී නැහැ. මට කියන්න ඕන දේ මම කියනවා. හැබැයි මම එක විශේෂත්වයක් තියෙනවා මගේ දේ මම කියනකොට මම බොහෝ දුරට උත්සාහ කරනවා ඒක විද්‍යානුකූල වීමට. මම විද්‍යාව ඉගෙන ගත්ත පුද්ගලයෙක් හැටියට මම දකිනවා ඒ විද්‍යාව අපි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැත්නම් if we don't use the science we can't progress. Today the world is not on philosophy or historical literature or whatever it is. Right. හරි. ඒ හින්දා මේ විද්‍යාවත් එක්ක අපි යනවා නම් we can see we are moving with the science. There's no question about it. What is AI? What is all these digital stories? All this is science. That is not the so-called literature of the past and all that. Anyway, then we must understand the science properly. Now, why I believe I have the competence to talk about it. මේක ගැන මට කතා කරන්න හැකියාව තියෙනවා කියන්නේ මගේ පශ්චාත් උපාධිය PhD එක තියෙන්නේ pest management වල කොටසක් එතන තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මම කල්පනා කරන්නේ අපි පලිබෝධකයෙක් කියන එක හඳුනා ගන්න බැරි නම් අපිට විද්‍යානුකූලව අපිට ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. මොනතර කතාව කියනකොට මම කිව්ව එක නොදැම්මා පත්තරේ මම කිව්වා පලිබෝධකයෙක් හඳුනා ගත්තම අපි පලිබෝධ නාශකයක් ගහනවා. We spray pesticides when we identify a pest. Aren't they life? ඒවා ජීවීන් නොවේද? අපි එක ජීවියෙක් නෙවෙයි ඔක්කොම ජීවීන් ටික නසනවා. All the insects, not the target insect also. Then gradually we started recognizing a target insect which is causing the harm and we decided to make our pesticides manipulated for that purpose. ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවයට හදාගත්තා පලිබෝධනාශකය. ඒක විද්‍යානුකූල නෙවෙයිද? So it's always science that drives us. So when you forget the science and become, sad to say, politicized, we can't go forward. Even if the political system is what makes us work, we have to become scientific. And ඒ පදනම උඩයි when I was approached, I said I would like to talk or we would have to create a discussion. කතාවක් අපි කතිකාවක් කරමු. මොකද්ද මෙතන තියෙන්නේ? And more importantly, when I was asked to talk about the counting of monkeys, I said sorry. No way. There is no science in counting thing. ඒක අnder කුරුල්ලෝ ගැන කරලා තියෙනවනේ. මම කව කුරුල්ලෝ ගැන අවුරුදු කීයක් කරලාද අන්තිමට මොකක් හරි දෙයක් කියා ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණේ. After counting birds for how many? Christmas bird count තියෙනවා. Day counts කියලා තියෙනවා US වල. These have been going on for 30-40 years. They were not done to solve a problem. ප්‍රශ්නයක් විසඳන්න නෙවෙයි ඒවා පටන් ගත්තේ. To get more people interested in nature. බහුතරයක් ස්වභාවයට බඳ ගන්නයි ඒවා කෙරුවේ. නැත්තම් කුරුල්ලන්ගෙන් එන හානිය වළක්වා ගැනීම සඳහා කරපු දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. So if you don't know the literature, also you are going to get into the problem. And more importantly, නිකන් හිතන්න, how many years of preparation do you need to do the human census? මානව සංගණනයක් කිරීම සඳහා වසර කීයක පෙරහුරුවක් අවශ්‍යද? මෙතන ඉන්නවද කවුරු හරි ඒ අංශයේ හිටපුවා? We take minimum of 2 years. දැන් පටන් අරගෙන. We take a minimum of 2 years. ගෙවල් ගානේ ඇවිල්ලා කොළ කෑල්ලක් හයි කරනවා, කහ පාට එකක් හයි කරලා යනවා, ඊට පස්සේ රතු පාට එකක් හයි කරලා යනවා. And what does a census mean for humans? We have gone through census. I believe a lot of you have shown yourself for a census. මම ඒ වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරනවා. සංගණනයක් සඳහා ඔබ ඉදිරිපත් වුණාද? ඔබේ ගෙදරට සංගණන නිලධාරියා එනකොට එයාට දෙන අණ මෙච්චරයි. හැම කෙනෙක්ම ගණනය කළ යුතුයි. සංගණන නිලධාරියාට කියනවා නම් පුතා බුදී කියලා එහෙම බෑ. එක්ක සංගණන නිලධාරියා පුතා ළඟට යන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැත්නම් පුතාගේ එන්න ඕන නිලධාරියා ළඟට. බුදී කියලා බෑ. That is a human census. And if you ask me why we have not been able to use our census, it is for the very same reason. We don't follow the science of a census. අපි සංගණනයක විද්‍යානුකූල අවශ්‍යතාවය මිනිස්සු වෙලත් සතුන්ට කියන්න බෑනේ ඕවා. මිනිස්සු වෙලත් අපි ඒව කරන්නේ නැති නිසා අපිට සංගණනය ඇතුලෙන් අවම වශයෙන් කියන්න බෑ තව අවුරුදු 5කින් ළමයි කී දෙනෙකුට ඉස්කෝලේ නැති කියලා. ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවද? මැරෙන්න පුළුවන් සංඛ්‍යාව ස්පිරිතාල වලින් මරණ නිලධාරීන්ගෙන් ඔක්කොම එකතු කරගත්තාම වසර ගානේ පළවෙනි අවුරුද්දේ හිටපො අවුරුද්දක ළමයි ගාන මෙච්චරයි. ඒගොල්ලෝ මැරෙනවා මෙච්චර කිව්වම ඉස්කෝලේ කීයක් තියෙනවද කියලා කියා ගන්න බැරිද අපිට? බෑ. ඇයි? අපේ සංගණනය ඒ තරම් දුර්වලයි. ඒක දුර්වල වෙන්නේ ක්‍රමවේදය හරියට පිළිපැදලා කරන්නේ නැති නිසායි. So these are all known facts. Not just in Sri Lanka. It's a very common thing right around the world. And why do I take the humans as the first point? Because we understand each other. We can talk to people. We can get to listen to people. Can we do that with animals? Can we ask the animals to come together tomorrow? We are having a census. Please come. We are going to count you කියලා. අපි කියන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක. නමුත් මේ කොහෙවත් කරපු අහඹු ලෙස කට්ටියව සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ උනන්දුව වැඩි කරගන්න කුරුල්ලන් ආරම්භීමේ ව්‍යාපාරයට පටන් ගත දේවල් උදාහරණ වලට දෙනවා. කාට කියන්නද අප්පා? මම ඔය වගේ දේවල් වලට මගේ සම්බන්ධතාවයක් නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කැමති වෙන්නේ නැහැ මට කියන්න තියෙන දේ. නමුත් ඒවා අපි ප්‍රචලිත කරලා ඒ වගේ අපි දේවල් කරන්න හදනකොට ප්‍රතිඵලයක් ලැබෙයිද? ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපරාධේ කාලේ මුදල පොල් කැල්ලක් ගහලා අපේ ගෙදරට නම් දුන්නේ නැහැ. මට ඉතින් හරි කුතුහලයක් තියෙනවා. එහා පැත්තේ ගෙදරටත් දුන්නා, අල්ලපු ගෙදරටත් දුන්නා, මගේ ගෙදරට කොල කැල්ල දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මම අහන්නේ ඇයි කියලා මේක. ඇයිද අපි ගෙදරට එන වඳුරු ගණන් කරලා දුන්නොත් වැරදි නැද්ද? ගාතුරු එනවා හැමදාම. ඒත් ඉතින් අපේ ගෙදරට කොලේ දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් එහෙමනම් මේ දේ කරන්නේ එතනම වරදක් තියෙනවා. there are faults there. ඉතින් ඒකයි මම හිතුවේ මේක මේ පොදුවේ කතා කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා විද්වතුන් අතර අපි කතිකාවක් තියමු. ඔබලාට තේරෙනවද වැටහෙනවද මේ කරන දේ? කතිකාව අපි කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. ප්‍රශ්නයක් විසඳීම සඳහා අපි ගත යුතු ක්‍රමවේද මොනවාද? දැන් බොහෝ විට අපි කියන්නේ most of the time what we will be saying is about agriculture. Pest කියන්නේ ඒකනේ. Let's put it that way. There is a pest also. If it becomes intolerable, person comes and does something to you, you call him a pest. අපි පුද්ගලයාට මිනිහටත් කියනවා මහා කරදරකාරයෙක්. පලිබෝධකෙක් කියන්නේ යන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා කියනවා මූ මහා කරදරකාරයෙක් හැම වෙලේම ඇවිල්ලා අපිට කරදර කරනවා කියලා. සතෙක් හින්දා අපි කියන ඌ පලිබෝධකෙක් කියලා. මිනිස්සු එතනට පැමිණෙලා නැති හින්දා because people have not come to that point of considering humans as non-humans, fine. So I thought it is necessary. Let's talk about it. Let us find the science about it. And this is the forum. We have all the sciences here. Social sciences, medical sciences, you name it. The science, everybody is here. So what is it that you recognize? Then I give you some thoughts. So first and foremost, I think it is necessary to be able to recognize a census. මොකද කෙරුවේ සංගණනනේ මේ කරන්නේ සංගණන. බැරි දේවල් කරන්නේ මම කියන්නේ බැරි දේවල් කරන්නේ. You are doing something which you can't do. And if you want to do it, there is a process which is very, very difficult with organisms. ජීවීන් එක්ක මේක කරන එක ලේසි දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. දැන් අවුරුදු ගාණක් තිස්සේ අපි අලි ගණන් කරුවා. We have been counting elephants. අලි කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද කියන්නේ? How many elephants are there in the country? Anybody willing to guess? No, you can't guess because we did the census. Right? There's no guesses in census. සංගණන වල අනුමාන නැහැ. සංගණනය කියන්නේ නිශ්චිතයි. අලි කීයක් ඉන්නවද ලංකාවේ? දැන් මේ ඊයේ පෙරේදත් කෙරුවානේ. මාස දෙකකට ඉස්සෙල්ලත් කෙරුවා. මම කියන්නේ ඒව වචනයම වෙනස් කරලා කෙරුවට කමක් නැහැ. අපිට නිකන් දල වශයෙන් දැනගන්න ඕන අලි කීයක් ඉන්නවද ඒක දැන් මම ඒක කරනකොට කිව්වා වයිල්ඩ් ලයිෆ් එකේ කරන මිනිහට කිව්වා මොකක්ද අප්පා මේ කරන්නේ ඉස්සෙල්ල බලන්න මේ දේ කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක. ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් දෙපාරක් කරලා කීයද කිව්වේ තරමකට. මං කිව්වා සෙන්සස් කියලා පටන් අරගෙන මේ තරම් ඉන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කිව්වට වැඩක් නැහැ. එතරම් වැරදි. පළවෙනි පාරේ 1960ක් ඉන්න පුළුවන් දස වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන් 600ද 700ද ඔන්න වගේ ගාණක් කිව්වා. දෙවෙනි වතාවත් කියලා දැන් 7000ක් ඉන්නවා. ඒක දැන් තුන්වෙනි වතාව කෙරුවා කීයක් ඉන්නවද කියන එක තාම නිල වශයෙන් කොහෙවත් ප්‍රකාශ කරලා නැහැ. මොකද කෙරුණාද කියලාවත් නැහැ. පළවෙනි දෙවෙනි වතාව කරනකොට වතුර වලක් ළඟ ගිහිල්ලා කිව්වා ඒකට කිව්වේ water hole count කියලා. ක්‍රමවේදයේ වැරද්දක් නෙවෙයි මම කියන්නේ. ක්‍රමවේදයේ යෙදීමේදී ගත යුතු යම් පිළිවෙල තියෙනවා. ඒකෙමුත් කවදාකවත් සංගණනයක් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් සංඛ්‍යා ආවට පස්සේ කියනවා මේක මේ තරම් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. එතකොට මේ තරම් වෙන්න කිව්වොත් ඒක සංගණනයක් නෙවෙයි. It's not a census. ඒකට වචනේ මොකක්ද? අපි බලමු ඉතින් මේක. දෙපැත්තට යන්න ඕනනේ. මොකක්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ ඒකට වචනේ? විද්‍යාවෙන් අපි කියන එකට වචනයක්. If not a census, it is a estimate. අනුමානයක් තියෙනවා. ඇස්තමේන්තුවක් අපි ඉතින් සිංහලෙන් කියනවා ඇස්තමේන්තුවක් කියලා. එතකොට ඇස්තමේන්තුවේ අඩු වැඩි තියෙනවා. මොකද ඒක නිශ්චයක් නොවන නිසා. Because it is not a fixed amount, there is pluses and minuses. and ඊට පස්සේ ඒකට ධන මෙහා කියලා දුන්නා. all fine. But if you start with the wrong premise, the criticism, ඒකට එන විවේචනය මේක දන්න කට්ටියකින් වැඩි වෙනවා. It increases and then your confidence, විශ්වාසවන්තභාවය නැති වෙනවා. එතකොට ඒක පාවිච්චි කරලා මොකක්ද අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන්? අවිශ්වාස දෙයක් එක්ක ඔබලා ගැටෙනවද? You do only because you trust it, you like it, you believe in it, you have confidence in it. Then only you will put your heart and soul. එහෙම නැත්නම් එහෙම මෙහෙන් දහමල ගහලා යනවා. That is not what we want. So even after all of that, and mind you, this is the largest animal on the planet and in Sri Lanka. Can we not get a good count? Not a census. Can't we get a good count? Yes, you can. හොඳ ගණනයක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මුලින් මේකට කළ යුත්තේ ඇයි ගණනය කරන්න කියන එක. You have to put the question in front. Why do you need to estimate? දැන් මම කිව්ව වචනේ estimate. Why do you need to even have numbers? නිකම් විනෝදයට කරනවා නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඒකයි මේ කුරුළු කතාව ගෙනාවම මම කිව්වේ කුරුළු කතාව ගණන් කරන්න නෙමෙයි ගෙනාවේ. කුරුළු කතාව ගෙනාවේ කුරුල්ලන් එක්ක මිනිස්සු බද්ධ කරන්න. එක දවසක්වත් එක නෑ. පහු කාලයකට යනකොට වැටහුණා එකම තැන එකම වෙලාවට ගණනය කෙරුවම මොනහරි තොරතුරු ලැබෙනවා. ඒවා විශ්ලේෂණය කරනකොට මගේ වචනයක් තියෙනවා. මම කියන්නේ අඟ බීරා ගැනීමේ විද්‍යාව පාවිච්චි කරලා හොඳට කියන්න පුළුවන් මොකද උනේ කියලා. මොකක්ද අඟ බීරා ගැනීමේ විද්‍යාව අවුරුදු 5ක් ඉගෙනුවා විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයක මම. එහෙනම් මම කෙලින්ම කියන අඟ බීරා ගැනීමේ විද්‍යාව. මෙතන ඉන්නවද දන්නේ නැහැ. තරහ වෙන්න එපා කිව්වට. statistics. නෑ කියන්න PhD කරපු අය ඉන්නවනේ මෙතන. අපි දැන් කරවනවනේ 195 199 100ක් කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? තියනවද කියන්නේ? ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ 100ක් තියෙනවද? 100ක් නැහැ. නැතුව නෙවෙයි. නමුත් අපි කරන ක්‍රමවේද තුල ඒක ගන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා සංඛ්‍යානන පාවිච්චි කළා, ස්ටැටිස්ටික්ස් පාවිච්චි කළා, අපි කොන්ෆිඩන්ස් ලිමිට් එකක්, විශ්වාසවන්ත භාව සීමාවක් පාවිච්චි කරලා අපි ලැබලා තියෙන දත්ත පිළිගන්නවද පිළි නොගන්නවද කියන එකට තමයි අපි අවසානයට එන්නේ. We come to that conclusion at the end on the basis of probability, confidence and statistical analysis. අපේ කාලේ ඕවා ආරම්භ වුණා විතරයි. දැන් මගේ එකේ මට statistics තිබුණෙත් නැහැ. ඊට පස්සේ කිව්වා no we'll do something and get something කියලා. ඉතින් මං කිව්වා you are telling me after I have collected all the data. අවුරුදු එකමාරක් දෙකක් මම පොළොන්නරුවේ දත්ත එකතු කරලා ඔක්කොම කරගෙන ඉවිල්ලා විශ්වවිද්‍යාලෙට ගිහිල්ලා විශ්ලේෂණය කරනකොට මට එක්කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා මේකට ස්ටැටිස්ටික්ස් දාන්න ඕන කියලා. ඉතින් මං කිව්වා ස්ටැටිස්ටික්ස් මේකට දාන්න ඕන නම් කලින්ම කියන්න එපා. ඊට පස්සේ බලාගෙන යනකොට ඒ වගේ සමතාවයන් that you should have similarity in your data and all the variance should be reduced to zero if possible. මෙහෙමයි කියන්නේ ඒ කාලේ ස්ටැටිස්ටික්ස්. අන්තිමට බලාගෙන මම මාසයක්ම ඇවිදලා දවස් 3යි ගත්තේ. ඉතින් ඔය දවස් 3 ගන්න තිබ්බනේ මාසයක් ඇවිදින්න නැතුව. දැන් ඉන්නවා මැජික් කාර්. එහෙමනේ ප්‍රණිත් මේ ඊපෙරේද කරුවානේ නේ. දැන් ඉන්නවා මැජික් කාර්. ඒකට මැජික් ආර්ම කියන්නේ ඒකයි. ඕනම දෙයක් කරකවලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි සංඛ්‍යා තියෙනවා. You must have numbers, adequate numbers, ප්‍රමාණවත් සංඛ්‍යා තියෙන්න ඕන. මැජික් කාර් දැම්මම කරකිලා එනවා. So where is the 100% confidence? Doesn't exist. That is number one in science, but it gives us direction for the next. ඊළඟ එකට අපිට පාර පෙන්නනවා. So if you are not confident in using that science, how can we go forward? We can't. We have to have that knowledge. So with statistics, an estimate can be made as a full value. පූර්ණ සංඛ්‍යාවක් හැටියට පරිවර්තනය කරගන්න පුළුවන් ඇස්තමේන්තුවක් සංකීර්ණනේ පාවිච්චි කරලා විශ්වාසවන්තභාවයේ කොතරක්ද කියන එක පදනම් කරගෙන තැනකට එන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඉතින් මේක සාමාන්‍ය මිනිසුත් එක්ක කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් විද්‍යාව හදාරන විද්‍යාඥයෝ වුණත් මේක ගැන හරියට තෝරාගෙන බේරාගෙන කරන්නේ නැති හින්දා සාමාන්‍ය මිනිහෙකුට බෑ. අපිට ඉතින් සාමාන්‍ය මිනිහෙකුට කරන්න පුළුවන් අර කියපු දේ තමයි. විනාඩි 5ක් තියෙනවා වඳුරෙක් ආවොත් කීයක් ආවද කියලා ගණන් කරන්න. ඌ පිරිමිද ගෑනුද පටවද මොකාද කියන එකත් නෑ අඩු. ගණනය කරලා කියන්නේ. කාලය, මහන්සිය, පෙරහුරුව, just imagine the cost that has gone. Now what is the result? Why did we do it කියන ප්‍රශ්නෙට මම මුලම වෙනවා. Why did we do it? Why we did it? Because everybody was complaining about the monkeys being a pest or a problem. ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන නිසා. අපි සමාජයේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙන මිනිහට මොකද කරන්නේ? හඳුනාගත්තොත් what do we do as people in our community if we recognize somebody as a problem? We first ask the question, what is the problem with the person? ඒ පුද්ගලයාත් එක්ක තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ මොකක්ද? කතා කරනවා වැඩි සර්. හැම වෙලේම කයිවාරු. ඉතින් කයිවාරුවට තියෙන විසඳුම මොකක්ද කියලා අපි නොදන්නවද? කතා නොකර ඉන්න යාට. ඇවිල්ලා ඔයලා කියනකොට මේ ඔයා කයිවාරු ගායවට වැඩක් නැහනේ. පොඩ්ඩක් පැත්තකට වෙලා ඉන්නකෝ. පැත්තකට වෙලාලා ඉන්න කියනවා. We say just be on the side. That is good enough. පණිවිඩේ මිනිහාට හරියට ගියොත් මිනිහා හැම ඉඳී. එහෙම නැත්තම් මොකද කරන්නේ? අන්න දොර තියනවා එළියට දානවා. අපි කරන්නේ නැද්ද මේක අස්සේ වුණත් ඒක? We will do that. But if we recognize that he has a different problem, which is a mental problem, මානසික ප්‍රශ්නයක් මෙතන තියෙනවා නම් පසුතලය තුල අපි ආව සමහර විට we might castigate him as a mental person issue. මානසික රෝගියෙක් හැටියට යව ලේබල් කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද යාට කරන්නේ? What do we do with that person after? අපි ආව මානසික රෝගියෙක් ඉස්පිරිතාලට යවනවා. Why should you send him there? He's just one of us. Just a little bit that his mental system is out of line. නමුත් ඒකටත් වෛද්‍යවරු ඉන්නෝනේ. There are doctors know who will කතා කරලා මොන හරි කරලා දිනවා. ඔයාට මේක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එක්ක කරන්ට් අල්ලනවා නැත්නම් පෙත්තක් දෙනවා. මොකක් හරි කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් isolate කරනවා. If we do that with our own selves, මානවයත් එක්ක අපි දේ කරනවා නම්. The ultimate is only thing that we don't do. That is termination of life. For a person who has mental sickness. That is the only thing we don't do. Because that is something that you can reverse කියලා අපේ විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. We have a belief that a mental sick person can be reversed. If you do what? If you can answer the question, how did the person become that? If it is a chemical issue, we will do it chemically. If it is a prompting that is required to change the chemical systems in the body, we will give the electric treatment. Anything like that. But what is the intention? To make him come back, to be a normal person in society. So we tolerate it to that degree. But if he cannot, he's still going to be in that place. If you have visited Angoda, go and see the wards in some places. Go to the extreme end ward and see. You won't believe what you see. This is a fact in the human society. Pratyaksha. I use the word fact for the first time today. Do you know what a fact is? Do we science know what a fact is? When we don't know what a fact is in science, again we have a problem. දැන් ඒක මෙතන එහා පැත්තේ අපි කතා කරුවා. ඔය වාඩි වෙලා අපි කට්ටියක් මේක අවුරුදු 2010 11 කාලේ මොකද්ද මේ සිංහලෙන් මේකට හොඳ වචනයක්. In English we understand what a fact is. It is not an estimate, it is a factual need කිව්වම තියෙනවා. Because in science we try to achieve the fact. Not all these things on the way. We need to achieve the fact. But what do we mean by it? අපිට මේක සිංහලෙන් කියා ගන්න බැලුවා මොකද්ද කියලා අන්තිමට මහාචාර්ය කාලෆොන්සේක කිව්වා ඉන්ද්‍රිය ගෝචර ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ. මද ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවනේ අපේ කාලෝ කොයි වගේ කෙනෙක්ද කියලා. ඉතින් ඔය ඔක්කොම වැඩක් නැහැ. ඉන්ද්‍රිය ගෝචර ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ තමයි ෆැක්ට්. ඉතින් සෝක සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒකට පිළිතුරක් දුන්නේ නලින්ද සිල්වා මහාචාර්යතුමා කිව්වා. ඔය ඔක්කොම ඉන්ද්‍රිය ගෝචර ඕනේ නැහැ. ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ. විද්‍යාවෙන් යමක් ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂතාවයටපත් වෙනවා කියන්නේ it becomes factual in science. So we can get the right words for the right purpose. All of this background, what I am trying to say is that unless you are clear with what you want to achieve at the end, that's why I said you must ask the first question. Why do we need numbers? Because it's a waste of time. කාලය, මුදල, තව බොහෝ දේවල් නිකන් අවසානයේ නැති වෙනවා. We lose if you do not know why you want it at the end. And that is what we do all our life. අපි මුළු ජීවිතේම කරන්නේ ඒකයි. හැබැයි මම එක්කම කියනවා අපේ ජීවිතේ මගේ ජීවිතේ කෙසේ වුවත් බහුතරයේ ජීවිතේ එහෙම නැහැ. හදවලම තමයි ගෙනලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මේ couple of days ago I was in India. I have this narration about why we have a problem in the environment. Okay, I have a special, again, it is something that we developed in the country with Carlo Fonseca, Professor Carlo Fonseca and Dr. Jayampati. Both of them are not here today, but with them and 96 programs on the radio every Friday from 6 to 8. තිලක් ජයරත්න අපිට ඒ පහසුකම ලැබලා දුන්නා. අවුරුදු දෙකක් අපි එක දිගටම කතිකාවක් ගෙනිච්චා. ඒ කාලේ ටෙලිවිෂන් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ගුවන් විදුලියෙන් අපි මේ කතිකාව ගෙනිච්චා. ඒකෙන් අපි අවසාන තෝරාගත්තා ඒක කාල ෆොන්සේකම තුමා තමයි ප්‍රධාන කතුරු හැටියට වෛද්‍ය පත්‍රිකාවක් ඉදිරිපත් කෙරුවා. Needs and Wants Analysis කියලා. ඒකේ මම කෙටියෙන්ම කියන්නම්. මොනවද මේ ඇඳගෙන ඉන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ? What are you all wearing? Clothes. Do you need or want clothes? Do you need or want clothes? You will be surprised. You don't need clothes. You want it. And that is why today it is the fourth most pollutant in the world. Fourth most pollutant in the world is clothes. And not only the clothes, it is the throwaway clothes. This is what we have done. So you don't need clothes. That means you must go naked. No. That is not the answer. But that is the realization. When you realize that what you are doing is through wants, it is always going to end up as a problem. You will see that in the environment. පරිසරය තුල ඔක පේනවා. It is not the need that becomes the problem. It is the want that becomes the problem. අද දවල්ට කන්න ගියාමත් ඕක ඔළුවට ගන්න. Because you are eating, not because you need. You are eating because you want to eat so many things in that one place. That is the problem. All the excesses in the environment, other than the numbers, true enough, we humans have doubled, tripled and gone so much. But at least within that framework, if we can restrict ourselves to the wants, අපේ needs, අපේ අවශ්‍යතාවයන්ට මිසක් ඕනකමට නෙවෙයි. So you can see, this is there. Same way here. Why do we need to count? We may want to count. That is what happened. මම කියන ඕගොල්ලන්ට ගණන් කරන්න ඕනේ වුණා නේ ගණන් කරා. මොකද්ද හේතුව? ඇයි මොකද්ද කරන්න හදන්නේ? You are not getting anywhere. Have you got anywhere? දැන් අද 25 නේද? අද කීයද 25 නේ? දැන් දවස් 10ක් වෙනවනේ කොහෙද ගියේ අපි? අර පටන් ගත්ත සද්දේ දැන් නැහැ කොහෙවත්. මොකද උනේ? We had a problem. Yes, we had a problem. At least we have one person in this country who is not a Sri Lankan, who has not yet been given the citizenship, despite bringing Sri Lanka right into the picture of the primate sciences in the world for more than 28 years, which is a shame to science in the country. Dr. Dieters, continuously from 1968-69, continuously studied the macaque at Polonnaruwa. දිගටම අධ්‍යයනය කෙරුවා. පෙඩිග්‍රී තියෙනවා. කාගේ කවුද කොහාද ලොක්කා කොහෙද උනේ කවුද එලව ගත්තේ කාගේ පුතාද ඔක්කොම ටික තියෙනවා. අඩුම ගානේ මේ මිනිහගෙන්වත් හරියට මේකට අවසාන ප්‍රතිඵලයක් තියනවද නැද්ද කියලා අහගත්තා. I know there has been a lot of research other than just from Dieters, but so many others also. In Jaffna, a student did a PhD on trying to get rid of the langurs, langurs from coming into the mango farms. The result was කොටියෙක් අඹලා පුළුම් කොටියා තිබ්බම වඳුරු ටික යනවා. මේ කළු වඳුරම නෙවෙයි මොකද අලු වඳුරා කියන එක න හනුමන්නා යනවා. හැබැයි ඉතින් දවස් 2කට 3කට විතරයි. ඊට පස්සේ එකෙක් ඇවිල්ලා අත ගාලා බලනවා මෝ කොටියෙක්ද කියලා. එදායින් පස්සේ ඔක්කොම ටික ආපහු යථාර්ථයට යනවා. So she did a different thing. She didn't keep it in the same place. She shifted it around. This is science. එයාගේ පරිශ්‍රණ වල ඒකයි කෙරුවේ. ඒක එක තැන්වල තිබ්බා. එතකොට දවස් 3කින් අපි කියමු මට හරියට දින මතක නැහැ. දවස් 3කින් අර බය නැති වෙන එක මාසයකට විතර දික් කරගත්තා. Then she tackled it with the sound and found that sound is better than the visual. මොකද කොහෙන්ද එන්නේ කියලා දන්නේ නැහැනේ. You don't know from where it comes now. And she used not a Sri Lankan leopard or anything. She used the tiger. So I asked her, why do you use tigers? Don't exist in this country. So I tried everything. This is much better because they are afraid of the new sound. මං කෝ ඒකත් හොඳයි. Very good. Very innovative. නොදන්නා සද්දයක් එක්ක යනකොට හැබැයි අර කොටියගේ සද්දෙට කිට්ටුවේ ගොරවන ගතිය තියෙන හින්දා and more longer time. And then there was another outcome which was not really part of her experiment, but she then came up and showed at the end of the day, before I come to the outcome in a different place, that by manipulating the environment, the sound and the figure, you could keep the animal away during the time when the fruits are coming on the tree and ending of the harvest. After that, do you need the tiger or the sound in the estate? No, because the purpose is not that. අරමුණු තියෙන්නේ හනුමන්ගෙන් වගාවට සිදුවෙන හානිය අවම කරගන්න. නැත්තම් නැති කරගන්න. ඉතින් ඒ කාලෙට ඒ කට්ටියට අවශ්‍ය කරන විසඳුම මේ දරුවා පශ්චාත් උපාධියක් තුලින් හරි ගස්සලා ලබා දුන්නා. ඒ නැතත් ඒ ගමේ මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක කතා කරලා ඒ දේ තියෙනවා. අද මම දන්න තරමට බොහෝ දුරට ඒක ඒගොල්ලෝ කරගන්නවා. So the purpose is the important thing to avoid the monkey common මම පාවිච්චි කරනවා from harming the agriculture. Now a side thing to that was, since I go to Singaraja most of the time, අපි මාටින්ගේ ගෙදර ඉන්නේ. මොරටුවේ ළමෙක් ඇවිල්ලා අර මාටින්ගේ ගෙදර බිත්තියේ මහ ලොකු බිත්තියේ painted a leopard seated. The very next, when he finished it, මූණ දානකම් රිලව් ටිකක් එහෙන් යනවා මෙහෙන් යනවා මොනවද තිබුණා ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. මූණ දැම්මා විතරයි රිලව් ටික ඔක්කොම වහලේ උඩ ඉඳගෙන කෑ ගහනවා පනිනවා අරවම කරන මාටින් කිව්වා අයියෝ සර් මොකද්ද මේ කරගත්තේ වහන්නද මං කිව්වා නෑ මාටින් වහන්න එපා බලමු මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. අපි මෙතන ඉඳගෙන පල්ලෙහාට ආවොත් නේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මාටින්ට පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු කියලා. පළවෙනි දවසේ දෙවෙනි දවසේ වෙනකොට ඒ එන කට්ටිය අඩු වුණා. තුන්වෙනි දවසේ ලොක්කා විතරක් ඇවිල්ලා මෙහෙම කරලා බලනවා මෙහෙම කරලා බලනවා. හැබැයි වහලෙන් පල්ලෙහාට එන්නේ නැහැ. අන්තිමට එතනින් රිලව් යන එක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ඒ පින්තූරේ තියෙන තාක්කල් රිලව් එතනින් ගියේම නැහැ. So that is a strategy. So I told that girl there, why don't you put a picture and see, as long as they cannot have contact. Because you're not sure what it is, you rather avoid than get hurt. අපිත් එහෙම නැද්ද? It is only when you know that you do the ultimate. When you don't know, you will take precaution. So don't think the monkeys are far away from us. They are very close to us. Sometimes smarter than us. So this knowledge exists. Professor Ditters has done a lot of chasing macaques in and around Polonnaruwa, from households, all of that. But from all what we know, the process cannot be continued. The monkeys learn. එයාගේ හිටියා ගෝලෙක්. He used to go with a red shirt. For about a month it worked. ඊට පස්සේ මෙහෙක් කර කර ඇවිල්ලා වීලු කරනවා රතු කමිසය ඇඳගෙන එනකොට. ගෙදර ආයට කිව්වා put a red sari or whatever it is. It worked. But for a short time. After that it goes off. The most important thing that I know he told the people in Polonnaruwa, or archaeological reserve එක වටේ මොවගේ ඉන්න කට්ටියට, don't ever leave your windows open when you are not in the house. Your presence is one factor that will keep the monkeys away. Otherwise, it is always inquiring, inquisitiveness, and they will come and do what is needed. So, I will narrate, I think, all my experiences with the monkeys and the other animals, and I will tell you the end result. So, first question, why must we do this? Anybody from Mahamaya College? Candy? Nani? We had a problem at Mahamaya College, Candy. ඒ ගෑනු ළමයින්ට කැමරා අරගෙන කවදාකවත් ඉස්කෝලේට ඇවිල්ලා පන්තියේ තියලා ඇසෙම්බලි එකට ගිහිල්ලා එන්න බෑ. ඇසෙම්බලි එකට ගිහිල්ලා එනකොට පෙට්ටි ටික සීසී කඩ විසි කළා. උඩවත්ත කැලේ ඉන්න රිලව් ටික ඔක්කොම ඇවිල්ලා අර බෑග් එහාට මෙහාට කරලා ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඉතින් පරිසර වැඩසටහනක් මහාමාය කරනකොට මැඩම් මයිලිකෝ සර් මොකක් හරි කරලා දෙන්නකෝ මේකට. ගිහලා බැලුවා. අයියෝ මැඩම් මෙච්චර දෙයක් නැහැ දැල් ගහන්නකො කිව්වා. දැලත් ගැහුවා. ඒත් දැල ගැහුවත් මුන් කොහොම හරි රිංගනවා අස්සට. අයි ඉතින් දොර ඇරලානේ යන්නේ. දැල ගැහුවේ කැලේ පැත්තට විතරයි. දැලේ එල්ලිලා ඉන්නවා බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා ළමයිට ඇසෙම්බලියට ගියා විතරයි අරුන් කොහෙන් හරි රිංගලා ඇතුළට යනවා. Then I said, madam, මේක හරියන්නේත් නැහැ. දැල ගැහුවට මේ මුන් කොහෙන් හරි එනවනේ ඇතුළට. ඉතින් මං කිව්වා මැඩම්ට බැරිද ළමයින්ට කියන්න කෑම එක ඔෆිස් එක ළඟ කාමරයක තියලා යන්න කියලා. කෑම එක පන්ති කාමරයට ගෙනියන්න එපා. She said yes ඒක ළමයින්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් මොකද අපිට ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මේ කැලයත් එක්ක තියෙන පන්ති කාමර ටික විතරයි. And that was to me if I can recall grade 10 and 11 or something. අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක කරලා ඉතින් ඔන්න ඒකට අවශ්‍ය කරන දේ හරි ගස්සලා කෑම ටික තියලා යන්න කිව්වා. උදේට ඉස්කෝලේට එනවා කෑම පෙට්ටිය තියලා පන්තියට පොත් පෙට්ටිය ගිහින් තියලා එනවා. පළවෙනි දවස් දෙකේ පොත් ඔක්කොම විසි කරලා හැමතැනම. දෙවෙනි තුන්වෙනි දවසේ යනකොට by the 6th 7th day nothing is happening to the books, to the bags anymore, and no monkeys are coming inside. So what was the cause for the monkey to come? Not to learn or to read, no? කියවන්නවත් ඉගෙන ගන්නවත් නෙවෙයිනේ. කෑම ටික කන්න. ඉතින් කෑම ටික නැති නිසා because the food was not there, the monkeys decided what is the point? We are not going to waste time for nothing. Much more sensible than sometimes what we are doing today sometimes. And they kept away. But on and off, එකෙක් කැවිලා පන්තිය උගන්වනකොට මෙහෙක් කළා බලනවා මෙහෙම කළා බලනවා. I think the students get distracted. So we had to tell the teachers and students, don't get distracted for the monkey. Let him come and look. You're supposed to learn, know what you're doing. It's a good idea, no? මොකද ඒගොල්ලොන්ගෙන් අපි ආවේ කවදා හරි නේ. So it's a strategy. So it worked. And I believe it is still happening because I haven't been to Mahamaya recently. What did the wildlife do? They caught them and go and put at Pilmatalav. This is a fact. When the problem was told about in Kandy, they caught them and go and dumped them at Pilmatalav, which is at the base of Kandy. And the Pilmatalav people started complaining. My own brother complains that the wildlife has come and dropped monkeys at Bibile. I don't know whether it's fact or not, but he says, wildlife we never had a monkey problem in Bibile at all. But today we have it. Of course, he does the ultimate, which you can't supposed to talk, but I will tell you, he shoots them. But his gun can't go 60 feet, maximum 40. So anything below 40 is protected. No monkeys come down. After a couple of shots, no monkeys come down to the 40 feet coconut. Up there you eat and do whatever like. What else to do? That is the monkey solution. But you can't talk about those solutions, no? We eliminate people when we don't like them. We had terrorists, no? Did we not? Whether it was Tamil or Sinhala didn't matter, no? Now me කොහෙවත් යනවා අවශ්‍යකන කතා කරන්නේ. This is not human. So thinking on those lines with the animals, you have to think it if it is a pest. If it is a pest. And what type of pest it is. These are all classifications in the same process. For us to ask the question, why are we doing this? Repeating myself, because that is what is missing. That is the science that we need to understand. Purposeful direction. We don't waste time. We seek answer at the end. But you need a process to achieve it. So if it is a pest, in 1989 when I became Director of Wildlife, I wrote to the Agriculture Department because we were going to revise the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance at that time. And in it there is a set of mammals which are said unprotected. ආරක්ෂා නැති කොටසක් ඉන්නවා. කුරුල්ලොත් ඉන්නවා ඒකාසෙ. Why were they in the unprotected list? ඉතිහාසයට යනකොට ඒ කතිකාවේ ප්‍රතිඵලය තියෙනවා මේ අය ඔක්කොම අපට කරදරකාරී ජීවීන්. සත්තු. ඒ හින්දා ඒගොල්ලෝම අපි ආරක්ෂා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඕන දෙයක් කරගන්න. මිනිසුන්ට ඕන දෙයක් කරගන්න. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා මම කෘෂිකර්ම අමාත්‍යාංශයට කියලා මට කියන්න මුන් ඕගොල්ලෝගේ වර්තමානයේ ඉන්නේ මොකක්ද? I'm sad to say, I never got a reply. So we decided what needs to be done and revised the list. We shortened the list from 15. Based on our knowledge of what should be protected in the list, we brought it down. That list is what persists today. ඒකේ රිලවා ආරක්ෂක ජීවියෙක් නොවේ. ඉතින් මොකද්ද ප්‍රශ්නේ? ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. පසු කාලයකදී subsequently it was made an endemic species. Now you have a small issue, but has the wildlife addressed that? That being a endemic species, are you still going to keep it in the unprotected list or not? That's a science decision. That's a wildlife decision. It has not been done. ඒක කරලා නැහැ. Further to that, අද අපි ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ it is a pest in multiple ways. Not just a pest for agriculture, it is a pest for human habitation. It was a pest for, if you go to Polonnaruwa and some of the estates in Kurunagala area, you will see in Polonnaruwa all the light posts has a takaram. මෙහෙම ගහලා තියෙන කෝන් එකක්. That was Dieter's invention, I would say, so that the රිලවට උඩට යන්න බෑ. ලයිට් කණුවේ නැගලා වයර් රස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා මේ ඊයේ පෙරේදා වුණානේ නේ. මහත්ය හොඳට දන්නවනේ අපිට කිව්වනේ රිලවෙක් නිසා මුළු රටේම පය විදුලිය විසන්දි වුණා කියලා. පස්සේ කිව්වා නෑ ඒක එහෙම නෙවෙයි සර් ඒක වෙන දෙයක් උනේ කියලා. කාටද මේ විහිළු කරන්නේ? Aren't we thinking about these things? So he had this device where you have a takarang right round the pillar going outwards like that so that you can't climb over it and come or climb within it and come up. It worked perfectly. At his own expenses, he put it around the archaeological reserve. Subsequently, I believe the CB people in Polonnaruwa have done some similar areas. The coconut people started doing it in Kurunagala. Some estates, not all, have done it. Polgaha vateta, you create this thing. But there's a problem now. Ekka gahakin hari naggot, they can jump from tree to tree. So it's a little too expensive in a way. That is what I was told by some of the coconut people. So ටිකක් ගණන් වැඩි ඉස්ස තකරන් ගහනවා කියන එකත් ඉතින් එකට ෆ්‍රේම් එක හදන්න ඕනේ, all of these and things. So it's for an affordable estate with clear boundaries where a monkey can't get onto the coconut and go, it works. But it gives some protection to the crop. So these are some issues that have been there. We know in the good old days, he said miris dala pol kombeta miris ekka daanna. පොල් ගෙඩිය ලස්සනට කපලා ඇතුළට මිරිස් පූලිය දාලා දෙන්න ඌ එක කාලා කෑ ගහ දුවනවා කියලා. So there are all kinds of local remedies also, but the intent, why are you trying to do this? මොකද්ද බලාපොරොත්තු? Going back to the very first, asking the question, why must we do what we do? Why should we be counting animals at all? If we have to count, there must be a purpose. Can we mobilize the whole country to do something without purpose? Are we being made to be purposeless people? No, it can't be that. We are purposeless animals. Never. We are purposeful animals. That is the difference between most other animal organisms and ourselves, because they can't connect the past and the present and put it to the front. We are the only animal that can have experience, turn it around today and put it to the future. So we must use that. For it, should we need information? Yes, we need information. What type of information do we need? මොන වගේ තොරතුරුද අපිට අවශ්‍ය කරන්නේ? ඒකයි අපි තෝරගන්න ඕනේ. So if we need that, pest. So 89 I did it, didn't work. Many years later, Madam Charles, I forget her second name, she was divisional secretary of GA or whatever it is in Batticaloa. We met when I was advisor to a minister, wildlife. Kotagama, can't you do something about this? I said, Madam, you write a letter to me, saying that you have these problems. She wrote it. I referred it to ARTI. Dr. Senanayaka තමයි මට මතක හැටියට එදා හිටියේ ඒ කාලේ. He did something, but never conclusive. There was no answer. Ultimate, because why did I refer it to the ARTI and the Agriculture Department again? Because it is they who should tell us for the purpose of agriculture. Through the collective research done by them or through research institutions, not just only the Department of Agriculture, the universities are there. If we don't do the real problems in the country by our research, then we have a responsibility which we are not doing. Get the results and tell us, is this a pest? What is the magnitude of the pest? Okay, it takes a long time. But the initial part of is it a pest or not doesn't need to go long, because it's a perception. One season is good enough. If you really want to get some data, not maybe complete, but get some data to say, yes, it is at this level, but we will tolerate it, because beyond that, two things come out of a survey like that. Two things come out. One, the magnitude, the animal concerned, and what matters most at the end, the farmer. And we have a system in our society, no? එහෙම පුද්ගලයෙකුට කොහොමද අපි සලකන්න ඕනේ කියන එක අපේ සමාජය තුල ක්‍රමවේදයක් තියෙනවානේ. අර මේ ආයුර්වේද හන්දියේ බෝඩ්ඩයක් තියෙනවා. මෙතන මේ සේනානායක හන්දියේ බෝඩ්ඩයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් බලා ඉන්නකො වෙලාවකට ගිහිල්ලා හිටගෙන. කොච්චර ලස්සන්ට පණිවිඩය දෙනවද ඇවිල්ලා අපිත් එක්ක රක්ෂණය වෙන්න කියලා. ඉතින් රක්ෂණය කියන්නේ මොකක්ද එතකොට? compensation. අපි දැන් කතා කරනවා හිටපු හැටිය ජලගල්මක් ඇති වුණාම කුණාටුවක් ඇති වුණාම අපි ඕගොල්ලන්ට අස්වැස්මක් දෙන්නම් කියලා. we will compensate you කියලා. කෘෂි කර්මයට ওই දේ කරගන්න බැරිද එහෙමනම්? Because that can be done only if you know how much the damage is. Your crop, the damage assessment, of course I know. ඒක ASCII හුඟක් ගැටලු ප්‍රශ්න හරිය මේ තියෙනවා. ඒව නැතුව නෙවෙයි. We humans don't want to be doing what is right, no. We always want to do what is wrong. Leave that aside, but the system exists. It could have been done. So even at that time, the answer didn't come. And so we didn't have anything to do with it. So when it came this time also, I was laughing. This is what we are talking about. But I realized something. As a pest manager, in a sense of what I have done in my PhD, I will come to it. The concern of a pest is important, and then only මොනර කතාව ආවේ. So මගෙන් ඇවිල්ලා ඇහුවා මම කිව්වා ඉතින් ඕකට ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ. පලිබෝධකයෙක් නම් අවසාන ප්‍රතිඵලය දෙන්න. ඕක ගැන කතා කරන්න එපා. හැබැයි මොකද්ද දැම්මේ? මහාචාර්යතුමා මොනරු මරන්න කියයි. මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. කරන්න ඕන නම් කරනවා. Just remember, that is what science is all about. Not to dilly-dally. Science is based on facts. And if you are not willing to be working on facts, you can't. Using the science for the purpose. Now, why I say that? I have nothing to say you shouldn't kill animals. No, you shouldn't kill animals. But if we can kill the insects without even talking about anything about it, if that is not life, there is a problem. පළවෙනි එකනේ බෞද්ධයන්ගේ පහෙන් ඒක අමතකයි ගොවිතැන් කරනකොට. There are problems which we have to. In 1994, when the A31st flight from Sri Lanka left Katunayaka, it never went outside the land. උඩට ගිහිල්ලා ආපහු ආවා. So in and among the very many people, not the top, උඩ ඉන්න අයට මම ඊයේ පෙරේදා, as I said when I went to India, I told this to the country director lady, why you all are not becoming successful? You all don't know, but everybody at the ground level says, මේ ආයතනය පටන් ගත්තේ ලොකු අපලකින්. ඒ හින්දා අපිට ගොඩ එන්න ඔය අපලේ දුර කරන්න ඕන. මොකක්ද අපලේ? පළවෙනි A30 එක, A330 එක ගියේ එක රටෙන් පිට යන්න බැරි වුණා ආපහු ආවා. Why did it have to come back? Because it struck a bird. කුරුලෙක් හැප්පුණා. It came back. So ඒ අපලේ එයාපෝට් එකේ ඇතුලේ වැඩ කරන බහුතරයකගේ ඔළුවේ තියෙනවා. මේ අපලෙන් පටන් ගත්ත මේ ආයතනය කවදාකවත් අපි අපේ ලංකාවේ මේ සිරිත. ඉතින් ඒක අපි පිළිගන්න ඕනේ එහෙමනම්. හරි එහෙමනම් තොইলයක් තියලා බලියක් තියලා ඒක දුර කරන්න ඕනේ. It's a psychological factor. I get involved for the airports, then I go and survey. I said, from my knowledge, because I have done some similar bird assessments in India before that. So they knew me from India, they connected to me, and I said, yeah, I'm sure doing. And I went and looked and said, no wonder you're having bird strikes, because you're attracting all the birds in the area to the airport. Yeah, I'm surprised that you're taking off. We changed a lot, and the management was ready to do all that, because definitely flying out and landing, the risk is over 200-500%. Not up there. Up there now it has been very well perfectly done, despite we still have issues that have come up at different times, where engines have sucked in birds and all of these things, but they have managed. We don't have a plane coming down from air now because of a bird suddenly. Those things have been almost like 99% eliminated. But landing, you know what happened? Hudson Bay, fortunately the pilot was good, even though he was told there are Cygnus species, swans in and around that area, gooses. He decided to take off and he had the problem, and fortunately he landed belly landing in the water in the Hudson Bay and saved the 198 people. There's a film done on that. That's the skill of a pilot. So in 94 I did the survey for the airport. We had a problem and now we needed to eliminate the problem. I can now say it, I have nothing to hide. I said, first we need to condition the birds. The birds should not be making use of the airport for their landing and feeding. We should eliminate that. So all the habitats in and around the airport was changed, cleaned. There were chicken farms within 2 kilometers. The law is 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers around an airport, everything must be with respect to the airport. That is the law, the international law. But of course, we don't have that space, so we have been given. The only place in the world where there is an Air Force base next to a, what you call commercial airport, Sri Lanka. This has been brought up many times, that one of the two must move. But of course, again, we are too small to be able to do these things. Even if we have done it, today Mattala does exist, we are not willing to shift BIA. So we still have to coexist. Right. Think of the birds. Areas were cleaned up, areas were loaded with sand, puddles were removed, marshes were filled, trees were trimmed, all of these things were done. If not, when the Indonesian issue happened just a couple of weeks ago, I thought, my God, what a blessing. Because for those who can remember, when you traveled on the Negombo Road, there was a wall before 95. One of the things we said, you have to get rid of the wall. Because even if a plane has to go off track, when landing it will at least go and end up in the lagoon. You're not going to have a big bang on a wall and many people dying. So when the Indonesian issue, I thought, my God, this is really nice. to see it. It was done by them. The airport was very serious at that time. Today, if you go, when I flew out this time after many years, I thought, we are in for it. Don't tell me I said this prediction, but I am seeing it going to happen very soon. We are going to have a problem in the airport with respect to flight crash due to birds and other animals, because they are all over now. Because the grass is, airport grass cannot be more than 2.5 to 3 inches. You go and see the grass there today. No maintenance. What does it mean? Rats. A tiny rat is enough to send a plane off track when landing or take off at that speed. So all that is the purpose. When you know why, you can resolve it. So purposeful data collection, it's the only way to go for solutions. So if the so-called species are pests, you can find the solution accordingly. We have not done that. What is the assessment? How bad is it? Starting from there. Over the last couple of years, there has been a secondary problem which has evolved, which I was coming to. With respect to macacas and monkeys, they have become very free. Because we were confined to houses. Where are those jackals that were running around? Where we put highlighted in the news and all that? Where are they today? Asoka innane mataka tine patrවල ගහපෙළ රිලව් මේ මුකුද මේ හිවලු ටිකයි නරි ටිකයි දැන් පාරේ දුවනවා එහෙම කියපුවා. Because that's automatic. If you think they don't exist, they are there. Even at our Talangama area, they are there. I can hear them in the night, but maybe around 1 o'clock, 1:32, you can hear. Some days they are still there. But when we got confined into the houses, they found a heyday. ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඔහේ යන්න තිබුණා මිනිස්සු කරදර කරන්නේ නැහැ මොකක්වත් නැහැ. ඉත්තෑවෝද ඌරෝද රිලව්ද වඳුරෝද මේ නරිද ඔක්කොම ටික හැඩන හේදී. Now decondition them, having found the freedom to go around anywhere and do what they want, because there's nobody who's going to come and say, don't do this because we go to ගෙවල් වල ඉන්න barrier දාලා මෙතනින් එළියට යන්න එපා හරි මෙහි කියලා කෙරුපු කාලයක් තිබුණානේ. So they had a free time. Partly also I accounted for the elephant problem also. Because there was nobody, because from my experience, the elephants do not want to interact with man. But we pester them, they know their superiority. අපේ සමාජය වගේ තමයි. කිසි වෙනසක් නැහැ. ඒකනේ අද වෙඩි තිය තිය යන්නේ. When they know they have the freedom to do what they think, I believe, maybe I am wrong, but they will do what they like. When the law collapses, lawlessness goes up. So in the same way, in the animal world, when they know that they cannot be hindered and they have the upper hand, they will do what they like. And that is somewhat the reason, added reason for the current situation with the so-called animals that are being considered to be the whole background to the story. So we need to really establish whether, I wouldn't say they are not, but that is hearsay. I would say that is something. We need to use the science to establish it as a pest. If we can do that with every animal that we consider as a problem, and that is where the science needs to come in, and it's not a difficult task to do it. Because you know the crop, you know the expected yield from a normal crop, and if you don't have that from the normal systems, other than so-called we have additional climate issues and all of these things, set aside all of those, and visually doing and getting these things, you will. Right, so that is what we are not yet sure. Can I ask, I'm sorry, may RTI sorry, don't take it personal. Do you know what the damage is? No, we don't have that. Let's accept it as scientists, not as individuals. As scientists, we have no assessment of the damage caused by these species. I'm not putting down as monkeys only, any species. There was one done for the elephants by a foreigner, Ahimsa, in the Monragal area. The damage done by elephants in agriculture, crops. And what is the primary things? That data exists. And the biggest one is bananas, kehel. How many of us are using that information for tackling the problem? I'm sure people would have done something somewhere. Peacock, there was a lady from Ruhuna having done some work. Why aren't we using some of her data? But I found that data was not done in the area there. The problem was she was working somewhere in Mana or someplace. We have a science authority. Very earlier, when Professor Sarath was there, I said, sir, make it a katikavak kenda. That was almost 5 or 6 years ago. Then Dr. Jayawardena Kodani, somebody like that name, from IFS, make a karanda, sir. Let the science be brought in. How many of the people, not the current people, anybody who has done any sciences on pest species in this country, review it and come to the conclusion. If not, we are going to waste a lot of money and just create social disharmony. Because it's difficult. As if those who are telling us to go straight are not doing some things that are not social. It's happening. But they may have good reasons for that. That is not. Let me come to the last point before I want you to give me questions. When I did my study, I had the same problem. Everybody, schools were closing in Polonnaru. Why? No students. PS Colony, where my study area was, the school is closed during the maturing stage of the paddy. So, so I go and meet the farmer. That is what I did. Roasting parakeet, feeding ecology. Seeing how what they are doing, they are feeding. Yes, they were feeding in the paddy field. And during those days, this is in 81, 82, we didn't have parachute systems. Dannane parachute system එක? හා? දැන් පැල හිටවන්නේ අතෙන් නෙවෙයිනේ parachute කරනවලු. parachute ඔව්ස එහෙමනේ දැන් පැල හිටවන්නේ. අතේ තියාගෙන මෙහෙම විසි කරනවා. එහෙමලු මේ එහෙමනේ කියන්නේ නේ. parachute ක්‍රමයට තමයි අපි වගා කරන්න කියලා. ඉතින් මම කිව්වා ඒකත් අලුත් දෙයක් නේ. ඉස්සර ඉතින් අපි අරගෙන එක එක ඔබ ගියා. එතනට එනකන් අපි කෙරුවේ ඉහින එක. We sowed it. So now sowing has gone out of the paddy literature. So parachuting has come into the literature. Very interesting. Right? So for that, you must have the seedlings and you have it in a separate plot. Because when you sow it, it is just the first 2-3 stages of the growing, it goes and falls. And 2 birds used to come and feed on it directly. More, not 2, 4 birds actually. The monias used to eat it. The weaver birds used to eat it. The teals used to come and eat it in the night. And the roasting parakeet. Now, I was not interested in the other 3 to assess it, but I was interested in the assessment of what a roasting parakeet is doing to the loss. During the sowing stage, it was not very much. Don't ask me the numbers, I can't remember that, but it is there in my thesis. Not very much. But I was finally interested in the ultimate crop loss. Because if schools are closing, children are in the field chasing birds, it must be very, very high. So I thought, let's see what we can do. So I got my sample area, PS Colony, Manampitiya, Patte. Spoke to the farmers and said, sir, I will ape de karaganna and all that. And you have to give me how much you have harvested, what is your yield, all of these things. I assessed how much a bird takes away visually කරලක් පිටින් ගෙනියනවාද ගිහිල්ලා විනාඩියක් ඉන්නවද දෙකක් ඉන්නවද තුනක් ඉන්නවද the process scientific process I did. I also found out how much the bird eats because when I went to Aberdeen I must thank Tusita Piris for having done that for me at Colombo when I was there. One of the things that we needed is optional foods and how much will it eat. So we put roasting parakeets in cages and gave them rice only. We gave them rice and millet and all of these other things, number of mixtures, and found out how much of rice will they eat if that is the main item, how much will they eat if it is 25%, 50%, so on and so forth. These are all experimental procedures to get the idea. What is the average amount of rice that the bird will eat if there is only rice and if there are so many other things to eat and so on and so forth. So yes, I had that assessment. So with it I calculated how much a parakeet, if it is going to eat only rice, its time. And we know how much of rice is available for how long, all of that is there, all of these things. And how much do you think was the end product? What is the amount of damage that the free-flying birds do? Unbelievable. The farmer said, "Nasa eka wenna." So we repeated it for 3 seasons. And we didn't have much variation in it. Very much similar. Kurniya. Kurniya කියන්නේ අර හතරස් පෙට්ටියක් තියෙන. කිසිම ආරක්ෂාවක් නැතුව වගාවක ගිරවුන්ට ඇවිල්ලා හිතුමතේ කාලය යන්න දීලා ගියත් කුරණියක් තමයි නැති වුණේ. අන්තිමට. මොකද උන් කන්නේත් නැහැ උන්ට ඕන නිකන් උන්ට කන වෙලාවක් තියෙන උන් ඇවිල්ලා උදේ from about 7:30 to about 9 o'clock they come in large numbers, eat and go away. During daytime maybe 1 or 2 birds, that's all. ඒ කාලේ හැටියට it was something like 2,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees or something. It was nothing. School lost, energy chasing birds, all of this for what? For 1,500, let's say 5,000 rupees. Not worth. In the meantime, I had the opportunity of going into the literature and found the good word kurlupalu. Kurlupalu. So, ඒ ගෝවින්ට මම කිව්වා මෙන්න මේ මෙහෙකක් තිබුණා අතීතයේ මේ වගේ ඕගොල්ලෝ කැමති නැද්ද ඒකත් කරලා බලන්න. ඒ ගෝවි මහත්තුරු අරක පෙන්නුවට පස්සේ අනේ සර් කියන්න ඕනම දෙයක් අපි කරන්නම් අපේ ගොල්ලන්ට ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න පුළුවන් දැන්. ඒක ඊට වැඩිය වටිනවා. හරි. එහෙනම් කුරුළු පාලුවක් තියන්න. මනාපයට කණ්ඩ කෑල්ලක් කුරුල්ලන්ට දෙන්න. That is what කුරුළු පාලුව was. And their problem was solved. Of course, I believe I have done something for those little farmers there. I can't go around the country and tell do this, do this, do this. That is up to us scientists to pick up that. And these were all presented in SLAAS sessions and other publications are there. But what I am much more proud is that the principle of Kurlu Palua is today being practiced in Scotland with the winter wheat cultivation. From the Royal Institute in Aberdeen, where I did some of my assessment work and details, they realized what I was doing and they said, yeah, this is a good idea. Why don't we do that? Because they sow the wheat before the winter, and that's why it's called winter wheat. It stays through the winter and then sprouts out in spring. So leaving a thing away for the geese, which is very large damage for them, the rooks, all of that, they found that this is works. Today, I know for a fact that Rowett Institute of Agriculture in Aberdeen propagates it in Scotland. So something that came from Sri Lanka is happening there. But is it happening in Sri Lanka? No, because we are so greedy. But you don't want the solution either. It can't work. So if you know that it is a pest as with respect to the cost also, you can come up with solutions. And if the solution is ultimate, we as scientists cannot dilly-dally. I'll go back to the airport. 94. What was my solution? Not just the landscape. We hired the best shooter in the Air Force, Priyantha. Gave him a red vehicle and said, you go before the flights come. Every morning around 6, he goes down the airport. Why a sharpshooter? For the obvious. Not to carry a gun and say, does the bird know what it is? No, but the bird got to know what it is. Birds were shot and removed. For almost 6 months we did that. But after that, when the red vehicle goes, even today, till some difficult happened a couple of weeks ago where they shot, that thing came back, a flare, it came back and fell into their vehicle and 2 or 3 of those people got injured. It's a red double cap. They know the red double cap comes means we have to get the hell out of here. And the birds keep away. But you have to condition it in that way. On and off, you have to do it. Otherwise, they won't know relate the red vehicle with your life. So don't think that after 94, birds were not shot. They were shot. Because that is one way of keeping the airport clean of the problem. Otherwise, you can't. Because it's life, not 1 or 2. It can be in a good plane, 300, 400 people at one shot. You don't want that to be lost. So you have to take that decision. The airport managers will have to take that decision. You can't ahimsa us to work there. Thank God, we don't have a problem yet. We have had subsequently 10 years, we had to do a resurvey. We did it and we saw things are good. A few problems here and there. We did have bird strikes, 1 or 2, but losses are higher. When you have a bird strike suck into an engine, it can be $100,000 or plus because you have to replace the entire engine. On the hull, no issue. If you have flown an airplane and you go and ask the pilot, can I see the damage assessment sheet? You will be surprised that you came to the country. Because in it they tick off. Bird strike? Yes. Then how did you come? So I asked, when I started the survey, I asked, why do you do this? Sir, if we don't do that, if there's a dent in the hull, we have been asked the question as to how it happened. And we are in front of the plane, we don't know. But there's an indicator that anything strikes on the hull of a plane, there's an indicator which shows that there's a dent or there is a strike. What it is doesn't matter, but something hit the hull, that is indicated. So we have the damage assessment thing, we tick it. Because as the plane lands, next time when you go see, 2 people will come with a file, go around the plane. They have very sharp eyes. They will see anything that is not smooth and they will tick, yes, okay, the pilot has indicated that there has been a strike. Bird or not, we don't know. But as I said, the technology has come to such level that bird strikes up in the air, other than getting sucked into the engine directly, is not an issue. So on the ground, it was resolved like that. So it might sound very nasty. Sorry, that is the way. We remove organs from ourselves. We put plastic in ourselves. So what is the problem? Now you don't need to put plastic. You are plasticized. You know, last year, we have plastic in the brain, in the human brain. We don't know. We may also be part of it, right? That has been shown as a fact. Research. Clampman, November last year, the paper came out, right? So, we don't mind that, no? But when it comes to solving the problem, we have a issue all the time, right? So that's just the story of that side. So in the Monero story, I got hammered. I have no issue about it. At least it publicized the people to got to know. Some people may have been talking about it and all of that. It's very good. At least in that way, we get it. But somewhere, we have yet not got the science into the picture. Even in social media, there was a picture of Monara, Putin, picked from India. Same. The same picture picked up. If you want, I will show it. From India. Anyway, since Kotagama needs only one vehicle, what we do with the rest, we do it when we use our vehicles also. No? We send it to junkyard or squash it somewhere and end the story. Fine, don't worry. So my story here is very clear. Let's not waste time. We have a problem. I don't say no. We have a problem, but we do not know the magnitude of the problem. Because if you don't know the magnitude of the problem, the solution is not going to come through. We can't just do things in the dark. To date, we don't have that solution, that magnitude. Once you have the magnitude, then you will find that the solution becomes very much more easier, and ultimately, okay, we can compensate you for that purpose. Why not? If we can compensate for so many other things, why can't we compensate? Ai apita aswasmat denna bari wagahaniyak siduwena pudgaleyata. We can do that, but we need that assessment. How do you get that assessment? I am not going to talk about all that. I know there are so many problems in trying to do that, but that's a different story. But we are human. We are supposed to be not being in that type of mentality, but we can't. Right? So you can see that this possibility has not been looked at. That is the way I see it. And that's why when you all wanted me to talk about it, I said I will give my way. Right now, see wild boar, same story. I did wild boar assessment for the Kantale. I think I should tell you that also. While Director of Wildlife, November 1989, I get a call from who other than the Minister of Trade and Commerce, Lalita Tulat Mudali. Early morning, 8:30. Saying, sir, patra dakkada. Kotagama, did you look at the paper? So I said, I just came to the office, sir. Look at the paper. Daily News. Headlines. 279 million loss for sugarcane because of elephant damage. And then he says, next time if the elephants come into the Udawalawe Park, Udawalawe sugarcane, I will kill them. Sir, you can kill them. I could feel that he got the shock of his life because he held a little longer than what I held it and came back. Are you telling me as Director of Wildlife that I can kill the elephants? I said, yes, sir. How? I said, sir, the law is very clear. After having reported to a wildlife officer, there's a trespass elephant, you have the right to kill the elephant. That law doesn't exist today because we changed it in 94. Right? I said, that is what existed. So I told him, now you have told me, you have reported it to the wildlife, and now I am telling you, the law is permitting you, if the elephant trespasses your property, you have the right to kill. No, I can't do that. No, that will be a big problem. No. I said, sir, okay, so can I give you a solution? Anything. That is what I got. Anything. I said, sir, can you give me 10% of your loss? How much is 10% of 279? 27 million. So you give me 10% of your loss, I will stop the elephants coming in from this side to that side. Because I need to put an electric fence. That was the first electric fence that came up to protect crops after 1974, when we started and dismantled the process. But the process had to be done correctly. Ask anybody, why do you want 10 meters clearance? Senseless. Where has the science gone? There is a purpose for that. Not just to keep the fence alive, but there is a psychological factor with elephants also. Elephants are smart. We know that now. They are smarter than us when it comes to electric fence also. They learned. They will come to a gap and they will not go the open space without knowing I am safe to cross. If you have been in the wildlife, sit by a waterhole or be by the waterhole and wait for the elephants, you will see them march past by the tree line. And then only when the boss comes, the boss moves, the rest moves. Otherwise they won't. So using the same psychology. 10 meters I thought was good enough because the road is there on the other side. Removed the teak plantation. I had a lot of problems with the teak people. Why are you flailing? I said, you have given that to the wildlife. Don't talk about anything. All you need is take the trees and go away. That is the contract the wildlife had with the forest department. The teak will not, we will look after the teak as long as it is to be harvested, and when it is harvested, you take it and go away. After that, no teak there. So they were somewhat happy also without telling me, because here at once we were getting almost like 5 or 6 kilometers of removal of teak trees for not their purpose, but for them. So we put the fence up. Fortunately, the manager, Mr. Jayawardena, who was at Udabalave, I knew him from Kantale. I will come to that also, because that's also pest management. What to do, how to do forward, all of that. He told me, මොකද්ද මේ කොටකම ඔයා මේමුත් සල්ලි ගන්නවා මං ගෝ හානිය මදිවට මම ගෙවන්නත් උන මං ගෝ ඔයා ගෙවන්නේ 110ක් නේ එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාට 279ක්ම පාඩු වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඔයා මට 27ක් දෙන්න එතකොට ඔයාගේ පාඩුව බිඳුවක් වෙනවා you have නෑ අමුතිතුමා කිව්වා අපි දෙනවා right at their cost they put up the electric fence, we only facilitated the equipment for them, getting it through from wherever, whatever sources, all of that, and it has worked. Tell me if it has not worked. And how many years now? Maintaining it rightfully. So the gap is that psychological effect. The elephants will come, they have to think twice before crossing. And that is one of the strategies. Once they know there is electric fence, they will not. What they are doing today is they have learnt of that and they have found ways to break it. That's another story. Very smart, they will kick by turning round and kick the bottom, or they will put the trunk over and pull it down. So many methods. Bring a stick and dump it over. All of these things they will do. They are smart. So you have to work with the smart animal. So just putting up 5,000 kilometers of electric fences today doesn't make any sense if you don't monitor it and if you don't become smarter than the elephant. Sorry. It doesn't work the other way. So many things. And if you go and put a fence right in between a forest, because one side is forest department, the other side is wildlife. I said, what the hell is this? Sorry for the words, but this is the fact. We have put fences like that. Not around the village or the crop that needs to be protected, but because the wildlife has to put its wildlife fence, forest department has put a couple of fences, but not very much, right? So, but I asked them, you make money out of showing elephants which is not yours, no? That you don't mind, no? ඒවා කියන්න එපා සර්. Right. අපි ඉතින් කියන්න නැතුව ඉන්නවා. නමුත් this is the mockery that prevails in this country. And we scientists are still tight-lipped. We don't talk. We don't express. How can we go on? We have to think about all this. Right. How did I know the gap? Because I was in Kantale. My first job, not as a temporary assistant lecturer, which I refused to be, I went straight from my exam the day after to Kantale to protect the sugar cane from wild boar, to study for it under Dr. Baptist, who was at Peradine. My task was to somehow find a solution. So I thought, oh fine, I will use my head for, I have never done it before, I would like to do this. I have done nothing very special about pest management and anything like that, but common sense I thought will prevail when I go there. So after I went there, I told the manager, I need somebody to go with me in the night. He said, so why do you want to go? I said, where is the wild boar? Wild boar is coming out in the night. I didn't come here to stay in the day and ask where the wild boar is from people. I want to go and see it. So he gave me a person called Manaf, he's a Muslim guy. sharpshooter, very good shooter. So with a gun, I used to walk the fields and see wild boar running, to see them. I said, no, right, okay. Then I studied the system, how the protectors, there were guards for protecting not the humans from the crop, from elephants and from wild boar and things like that. How they were being put in place in the guard rooms right around the crop, which was massive area, almost right around Kantale area. They had to cycle all the way from home and come to the center of the plantation, Agbopura or something, right at the center, which is sometimes 10 kilometers, 13 kilometers. They were not given any transport, so they used to cycle all the way, be at the office by 5 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, they collect the gun and collect 5 cartridges and the torch and cycle another 10 or the furthest point was 13 kilometers. So cycle 13 kilometers into the watch hut. Imagine the person. The gun has to be collected from the office. The cartridges has to be collected from the office. The night torch has to be collected with the batteries from the office. He has to come to the office to collect that and cycle from there to the watch hut. He is going to sleep. There's no question about it. How is he going to do the job? So the wild boar has its hay time. The elephants has its their time. So the first proposal I gave Mr. Mahi Vikramaratna, I think Vikramaratna, who was the chairman of the plantations at another meetings, when he asked, Kotagama, you have been there about 2 months after I went there. What can you say? I said, sir, can you ask the management to do this? Why do you have to give the weapon to the guard at the office? Don't you trust them with the weapon? I said, sir, why don't you give them the weapon and the batteries and the torch and the cartridges and all of them and let them take it home and come straight to the watch hut from home wherever they are. And if they want to stay at the watch hut, sir, why don't you facilitate that also? Because they will do a better job, I said. Mr. Vikramatna looked at me and said, looked at the management and said, any problem? Nobody spoke, as usual. Right, then you execute that. Further to that, if you bring the tail of the killed wild boar, you get 25 rupees. This is 75. If you kill the wild boar and bring the tail, you get 25 rupees. So I look at the tails for a day, they look very, very old. Next day, almost the same tail. So then I asked the fellow, Baliga avata passe mokoda karanne? Egulu aran yanawa sir. They take it and go. So every day they are coming and putting the tail and getting 25 rupees. They don't even shoot a wild boar. I got tally with the people and I said, ඔගොල්ලෝ මේ දේ කරනව නේද? ඉතින් මොකද්ද සර් රුපියල් 27 දෙනවනේ. අද නම් what is 25? එදා 25 is a huge amount of money. 25 ලැබෙනවනේ සර්. ඉතින් තියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. බලකි දුන්නම දෙනවනේ. So I thought, no, this is not the way. I said, I went to the management and said, don't give 25 rupees. If they shoot a wild boar, bring it into the market in front of the factory. If you have been to Kantale, you know, right in front of the Kantale factory is the marketplace. I said, let them bring it to the marketplace and sell it at an open price. Let them take the price and go. I said, they'll do a better job. Because now you have an incentive, not for the 25 rupees, but for something like 300 or maybe 1,000 or whatever. And I said, sir, you will get a kakula, gata kambu, sir. That is what we did. Wild boar problem in 6 months went away. If you don't believe me, contact the Kantale people, look at their statistics, you will see it there. In 6 months, the problem was over. I left in August. By June, we got rid of the wild boar problem. Simply incentivizing the people who are doing the job of protecting the crop from wild boar. There are so many other things that were done. They build nests inside the plantation areas So again, degrassing, converting it into paddy fields, and getting the people to protect the paddy, and thereby ensuring that the wild boar doesn't come into the field. But ultimately, it was the individual benefit. That is what matters to us at the end of the day. I am here only because I am happy that my mind tells me that I can say what I want in a scientific forum. Otherwise, I won't be here. That is why government officers don't come. Because when you walk out, somebody is there to shoot you. So when I was Director of Wildlife, I said, I am not a state officer. Sorry, I work for the state, true enough. But I am not a state officer. Mama Raje Niladharek nak Raje ta wada karna niladharek. So I have a different agenda. These are things that we need to overcome gradually anyway. I believe we need to, definitely. If not, we are not ever going to be achieving our objectives. So this is what I have done. I know it works. But you have to take the ultimate. As Director of Wildlife, I work very closely with the Wayamba Chief Minister, Mr. Gamini Jayawikram Pereira, again, who is no longer with us. But I would say a politician beyond anybody today. From the very beginning, we worked together. From the day he became Chief Minister, he said, Kotagama mata oyata katha karanna ona. I said, hari sir, monada karenna ona. Mage Wayamba palate ali prashne විසඳලා දෙන්න මට. මං කිව්වා ඒකට ඉතින් දැන් තියෙන ක්‍රමවේද වලට ගියොත් නම් කරන්න අමාරුයි. මම සර්ටන් නිලධාරියෙක් දෙන්නම්. හැබැයි සර් මට ලියුම එවන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේක මොකද්ද විමධ්‍යගතද මොකද්ද නෙවෙයිනේ. It's a central, it's not devolved. ඒ වුණාට සර් මට ලියුම එවන්න. මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා. මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳා ගන්නට මම කැමති නිලධාරියෙක් එක්ක ඍජුවම වැඩ කරන්න. මොකද හරි ලියුම එවන්න සර්. ලියුම ආවා. පළාතේ මිනිහෙක් හිටියා වසන්ත සේන කවුද මිනිහා ෆස්ට් නේම් එක මට සේන නායක. මං ගියා තමස් කැමති ගමට යන්න. අයිස් මං කිව්වා හැබැයි ගමේ ගිහිල්ලා අලි ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න ඕන. මොකද යවනවා ගමට යන්න ඕන. He just stays close by to Kurunegala. When I told him what the task is, he said, right sir, I will go. And he went and worked with the minister. We solved the problem. But this problem was extreme. Not just electric fences. Electric fence comes in 74 and all gradually. We did the fencing also. Village fences, Sarama, Ekale, Podi Podi in Kerua. But the bigger ultimate thing which matters to you here, I am telling you, we caught animals and sold them. All the problem animals we caught and got rid of them. අපි මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක කරනවනේ මේකනේ. ඉතින් සතෙක් එක කෙරුවම what is the problem? කරදරකාරී මිනිස්සු හිරේ දානවනේ අපි. That is the long extension of the animal holdings at Horopatana. Myself and Professor Kuruvita gave that document to Madam Chandrika Kumar Rudunga when over a telephone call. I was not the Director of Wildlife at that time. Said, මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න නැහැ මේගොල්ලෝ මට දෙන්නකෝ මොකක් හරි සොලියුෂන් එකක් කොටගම මම කුරුවිටටත් කතා කරුවා කුරුවිට මට කියනවා මම කිව්වා හරි කුරුවිට I will give you. We will have a rehabilitation facility. It's not a place to just keep the elephants, Horopatana. But is that happening? Large animal holding. Are we rehabilitating what is happening there? 39 elephants have gone, nobody knows, Chutavela. I am not saying it. It's in the COPE report. 39 elephants have gone missing of the 59 that was taken into Horopatana. Can it be? How can an elephant go missing? But that is Sri Lanka, right? But this is the reality. So at Wayamba, we asked the people, identify for us who is the troublemaker. ගමක කොහේ හරි ගියාම ඒ පැත්තේ කරදර කරන අලියෙක් ඉන්නවද? ඒ කරදර කරන අලියා කවුද කියලා හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න අපිට. අපි ඌව අල්ලලා ඒ කාලේ තිබුණේ translocation. Today I won't talk about it even because I know it doesn't work. But we did two things. If the කරදරකාර අලියා was big, we translocated it to Mahavali area or to One, of course, because it was a Tusker, we took it all the way to Yala. But today I won't do it. Why? Because the science tells me today translocation does not resolve the problem. The fellows come back to where they are. Somehow they will come back. And that data comes to us from Dr. Prithviraj Fernando. After collaring them, we know. So do I say it? No, I won't say it. But removing the troublesome animal, yes. How will you remove it? So we asked, age, tell us what the animal. We looked at Nambo, the size, Badu. These are good for training. These are good for the people who want to keep elephants. We sold them. 17 elephants I have sold as Director Wildlife. I am not afraid to say it. Right? Of course, we did not eliminate any because there was no reason for it at that time. Though some died in the process, I said, don't talk about it. Again, Dr. Shelton Atapattu, who was not Shelton, who was Nandan Atapattu, he was the vet at that time. When I went, he was interdicted. I brought him back and said, "Pissu katha karanna nathu inna thamsage bothaleත් එක්ක නිසා තම්සට ගෙදර යන්න ඕන. බෝතලේ අයින් කරන්න වැඩ තියෙනවා. මගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න එපා. ඔයාට 50000ක් දෙනවා. ඕනම දෙයක් දෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ පළාත් වල අලි ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න." He used to go out, catch the elephants, take them. As I said those days, we did translocate. Today I won't. අරගෙන ගින් කොහේ හරි දාන්න. කොට්ට මාරු තමයි ඉතින්. කමන්නේ. ඒ වුණාට ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳෙනවා 6 මාසයකට 7 මාසයකට එතන ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳෙනවා. So catching animals and selling it, even to date, I am so happy. Those 17 elephants are alive at Kegod. If you think that these things are not possible, no. The science tells us it is possible. Horopatana was proposed by me and Professor Kuruvita. The purpose was rehabilitation in sight. If the animal that we are talking about is an animal which has a mental capacity of what we know, it should get rehabilitated. It could be rehabilitated. So that's the challenge that we had and we did. But if you have to take the ultimate, I don't say no. That is a pest management. We shouldn't dilly-dally. The science must, of course, support it. The science must be very clear. This is a pest. It requires a solution, which unfortunately is going to be ultimate. All these questions of castration, all this, India has done it for years. Tell me where the problem has ended. No. When the deputy governor of Delhi fell off the house, only they decided we'll catch all the monkeys and go and dump them somewhere. And what happened? Again, it is documented. The governor, the deputy governor of Delhi died, sorry, but the solution was to, because on his balcony, he turns around and a monkey, and he got frightened and he just went over. So they decided take all the monkeys and dump them somewhere. They did dump them. Apparently half the monkeys succumbed to the situation because you can't go and dump some monkeys in a place where there are monkeys. They have their own ways to manipulate each other, right? So that resulted in a loss. But the country the Delhi part got rid of the monkeys, but today they are back again. So these problems will go. But the limit is all what we matter. And that is what science gives us. And if science doesn't give us that, and we don't trust the science to provide that, our solutions are not ever going to be conclusive. And we must be willing to change as we go along. Look at the situation and go along with it. But for that, we need clear data. In the current situation with birds, I don't think. There was even an issue, it just struck me now, when J.R. Jayawardena was approached, and again, this was in 71, I think 72 or something, when he went to Kantale, 77 after 77, 78 or 79, after being president, he had gone to Trincomalee, and the people came and said, foreign birds have been brought to Sri Lanka, and they are all destroying our paddy fields. That is how I really got interested in doing the pest management story into my thesis. And they said that the birds have been imported from somewhere and this thing. So I thought that is very strange. Anyway, the document came down to me through various sources, and I just went to Trincomalee and said, what are these birds that they are talking about? Munias. And munias are not brought from anywhere, they are part of the country. But see what happened. The sugar factory at Kantale was enabling the birds to breed in large numbers. Not because of food, because the food, they can't eat sugar, right? But by providing the best protective nesting area. So from Kantale side, in the morning, vast numbers fly all the way to the paddy fields of Agbopur, beyond Trincomalee, all of that area, eat the rice and fly back. The people see the birds there chasing them, and then they see them all flying all the way to the sugar. So they said, sugar again, Kurullo nidahas karala. So I had to give a report and said, no, so this is not the issue. But what was happening? The sugar was providing the best nesting grounds for them. If you have seen a munia nest, it goes and tears the grass in ribs and builds the nest. And protected for 4 years, because you harvest only once in 4 years. And nobody goes under the sugar saying, birds nest, break it, which is happening in the airport. If you go to the airport, you will see no crow nests are allowed inside the airport. If a crow starts to nest, break it off. Bad thing to do, no? But that has to happen. If not, we have more damage. So that's what triggered me to look at this. This is not. And I did the same. I thought I will work with munias, and I gave up because that's not a task to do, because the bird is tiny. And from Ambantota, in that whole area, all the munias fly to Udavalave, sugar. By the time they come to Udavalave around 5:36, it's just black. It's a vision to see. If you ever have the time, go there and sit. I don't know whether it's happening now, but it used to be. So I traced, I used to go behind the birds. One day 5 kilometers, next day another 5 kilometers, another day 10 kilometers. Where is it coming, all direction, and then I traced it all the way from Ambantota. That's the coastline. Ambantota, in that area, they all come up to Udavalave sugar. Why? Again, good protection in the night, nesting, no issue. Food is there somewhere else for them. They have the food and come here. Last story, because these are very important. If you go to India today, they revere the weaver bird in the paddy field. Poojawa, egulta vandino. From a situation where the weaver bird nests were broken, not allowed, maybe kurulla, munia neve, vadu kurulla, samavenda, vadu kurulla, ee kurulla neve. Issara vadu kurullu kodu tibbot okkoma kadanawa Indiyawe. Then Dr. Salim Ali, එයාගේ ගෝලෙක් අධ්‍යයනයක් කරලා පෙන්නවා වී කුරුල්ලා වගාවට එන එක වඩු කුරුල්ලා වගාවට එන එක ඇත්ත. නමුත් එතනට ඇවිල්ලා ඕ ගෝයන් වී යට දෙක තුනක් කන එකත් ඇත්ත. නමුත් ඊට වඩා එයා දෙයක් කරනවා. වගාවේ ඉන්න ක්‍රුමීන් ටික ඔක්කොම අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා පැටවුන්ට කවනවා. When they looked at the loss and the gain by removal of insects, it was very positive. Today, they plant trees to enable the weaver birds to come into the paddy fields wherever possible. That is the solution. A positiveness through a real study, not negativism. So it's a matter of understanding what is the bird doing. Is that a loss of real sense? If so, how do you prevent it? Can we do it without the ultimate? Then we should practice that. For it, an assessment is needed, for which, yes, you will need some numbers. Now that is the process. Do we follow that? Sadly, we are not. If you follow that, we will have an ultimate. I wouldn't say 100%, but at least we will have a compensatory solution possible. අපිට අස්වැස්මක් එක්ක විසඳුමක් ලැබෙනවා. The science has the process. විද්‍යාව තුළ මේකේ ගමන තියෙනවා. So පලිබෝධිකේ, it doesn't matter agriculture වෙන්න ඕනේ. It can be not just agriculture, it can be fisheries or anything. හැම එකටම ක්‍රමවේදය බොහොම පැහැදිලි. The methodology is very clear. It's just that we need to enable it to be effected. The animal doesn't matter. We need to know the animal, why, and then it goes. Now even with wild boar, what I say, what is the problem? Let the fellow kill it and eat it if you want to eat it. But you solve the problem. And what is the problem with the wild boar? It's an unprotected animal. No, the issue is you can't take it without the license of the municipality fellow. Another health issue එකක් තියෙනවා. සෞඛ්‍ය ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මේ මාංශවල පසවිස තියෙනවද නැත්නම් බැක්ටීරියලා තියෙනවද? මේ වනස් හතාගේ ඕක හොයන්න කන එකට කන්න දෙන්න. I can't understand. So it's sometimes our own creation of doing things. ඉත්තව මරාගෙන කනවා. ඉතින් මං කිව්වා මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ ඉත්තව මරාගෙන කනවා නම්? හානිය. I know some people who had coconut plantations all eaten in one night. ගොබේටම යන්න. Does you compensate that man? No. But just forget the compensation. How many years must he wait for that plant to come to that size? No. Why have people given up coconuts and say, Rupial 300? What is the point? You ask, I would say, I don't know. I have not assessed. But I am pretty sure that most of the coconut people will say, වදුර කනවා අපිට උන් එක ප්‍රශ්න. I am pretty sure that that is the case because many have said ban is a ගෙදර තියලා එනකොට there was one officer at the වයඹ පරිසර අධිකාරියේ නීති ලේඩි හිටියා මට එයාගේ නම මතක නැහැ. එයා ගොස්ස මම උදේට ගිහිල්ලා හැන්දෑවට එනකොට කරටි එකතු කරනවා. ගේ මිදුලේ. මේ බොරු නම් හොයලා බලන්න. But have you even assessed that? What is the actual loss due to monkeys in a coconut estate? Have we done that? Is it significant that we need to do something? Then we do something. You can't vacillate. Compensate the person. If not, even compensate doesn't solve the ultimate, no. රුපියල් 300ට පොල් ගන්න එක අමතක කරන්න බෑනේ. හරි. කම්පෙන්සේට් කරන්නේ පුද්ගලයානේ. ඒ මිනිහා ඒ නිසා ඒක අඩු කරලා දෙන්නේ නෑනේ අපිට. නැති විච්ච දෙයටනේ අපි මේ දෙන්නේ. ගාන වැඩි වෙනවා. මොකද පළදාවන්නේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. We have to prevent it from losing the coconut. All of this, I think the science is very strong. We need the right data. To me, I think this is it. Let us not go from here to places where we have not going to get good answers. It is all in our hands. So I think I have spoken enough to let you know what is potentially possible if we are a little more progressive in what we need to do. Right. So any questions? I didn't want to play the things because there's all of these things mixed up. If there are any specific questions, please do ask because I think we need to clarify this and take it forward so that we don't continue to do things of the nature that happened, which I am very sorry. It should not have happened. But that's time, effort, money, which I think has been lost for no real, maybe the number of persons who have participated, but if not, it's not going to solve the problem. Right. Any questions, please do ask.
Sir, I'm Ramani. This may be a dumb question for you, but if the electric fence, if they are smart enough to figure out how to handle the electric fence, what do we do from there?
Right. With the electric fence, the biggest issue is maintenance and updating oneself with the learning of the animal. That needs to be done. Some animals know how to break the fence, whatever you do. We have been trying to do the same. It was first a straight fence. Now we have a piece coming out, an additional thing to prevent it from kicking. All of these things we have done, but some elephants are still smarter. So when you have a very smart animal like that, I think it's better to keep it rather than lose it. You're creating a situation when I didn't say what I need to say, right? I hope you get it. I would catch the fellow and train it because it is very smart, which means you can really train the animal to do what you want to do without becoming a pest, right? Because it will break the fence, not just for itself, but it will open the gate for everybody else to go with it, right? I have seen elephants piling up at the electric fence, and then tallu. One fellow gets the shock, the rest walks through. They all know that. So I don't know whether it's the same animal which gets the shock every day, but they do this and next day morning we go and do the fence up. So we need to be able to, but the real issue with the elephant is not the electric fence. Have we understood what we are doing with the elephants? Now say Dr. Prithviraj has all the data for the last 20 years, I think, or 25 years, collected on the movement and patterns of incidents and all of these things. More than 70% of the elephants are outside the protected areas. So my argument with him, I said, Pruthu, that is not the answer. That is the fact. That 70% of the elephants are outside the protected areas. That is a fact. Now, what is the answer to resolve it? Resolve the problem. So I said, there is something which in your own literature, in your own elephant literature, which says that elephant densities are much higher in scrublands than in good forest. So I argue to say, what is the protected area network in this country? What is the percentage of forests that we are covering in our network? He told me it is 19, but I thought it was 23 or 26. Doesn't matter the percentage, actual number. I said, if that cannot hold the animals, and where is this protected area mostly? More than 90%, 96% of it is in the wet dry zone, right? What is the value of the dry zone forest? Any botanist? What is the value, not economic value, botanical value of the dry zone forest? I used to remember in this same hall, Professor Kotagama saying 0. Why? Because endemicity is the lowest you can think of in the dry zone. In terms of age, we have Vilpattu, which is supposed to be 800 plus. I don't know, but that's what we are told. You go to Somavati forest, yes, there is value there in the trees because you have massive, almost soggy forest type of trees. But otherwise, in most parts of the dry zone, the forest has minimum value. Botanical value in that sense, these trees, true, that's still value. But so, if these are numbers that the elephant people give us. In a good forest, the elephant density is 0.3 to 5 or 6 or something per square kilometer. But for my calculation, I said, okay, consider it 1. In a scrubland, it is 3 to 4. I said, take it 2. 1 less. Now multiply 100 square kilometers of forest, good forest, how many elephants? 100 elephants. Make half of it scrub. How many elephants now? 50 square kilometers into 200. 50 less, 150, increased or decreased? Simple mathematics. Yes, there are a lot of problems in how you do it. And we did it in Madhuroya. We did it in Vasgamo during the Mahavali time. 2-3 foot harrows we used in Madhuroya. We used it in Vilmitiya. After we had to destroy the paddy fields, if you don't know, when we went to Vilmitiya in 1982, in the Mahavali area, it was paddy fields because people were there in Vasgamo, beyond Hettipola. We had to make sure that the people won't come back, right? Because there was a member of parliament there who said, you can't convert this, this is people's land, all of that. I said, yes, you know, it is all people's land, but Mahavali has decided no, that this is going to be a national park. We came down, remember, we came down from a strict natural reserve to a national park. Why did we do that? Because we took loans to do Mahavali and we had to at least collect back some money. That was our recommendation from the Environment Committee in the Mahavali. Don't just keep a SNR right in the heart of a developed area. It might become worse in management. So we said convert it into visitation, collect the fees, all of this, but no people. So today when you go to Hettipola, the school was converted into the visitor center and dormitory, whatever it is, buildings are there. So we bulldozed or we harrowed the entire landscape, and even inside we did a lot. Madhuroya, a lot of people were there when we got it back from the people. We harrowed all of those things. Today, there are so much more elephants from almost zero. Manipulation of the habitat. During the Mahavali, we were chasing elephants to Vilpattu from Rasvehera and all of these areas. A.B. Fernando from the Department of Wildlife Conservation and Mr. Lindy Alvis, they were chasing the elephants to, Shelton Nathapattu was there at that time, were chasing elephants to Vilpattu. I said, how are the elephants going to survive there? Because the area that the elephants are going to be pushed is good forest. But fortunately, it is the only park in this country where we have a soil, we have 4 maps. Again, I forget the 4th one. We have a soil map, hydrological map, geo something map, and another one. 4 maps done for us by the Smithsonian. No other park in this country do we have that information. It was available, so I laid it out and said, okay, there are grass patches here, there are scrub forest here, all of that. Why don't we convert some of these into elephant habitat? What is the elephant habitat? Enable scrub, better scrub. I proposed it, I was killed. And Mr. Hoffman says, no, you can't change the forest. And then the very next 5 minutes later, we are going to build water holes. And then he says, make sure that the water hole is not deep. It is flooding as much landscape as possible. Oh, hold it, sir. What are you saying? You are saying flood as much as possible. So doesn't the forest die as a result? Yes. So I said, sir, why have to wait for the forest to die? We will kill it now. But kill it selectively. Not without selection. If you flood, everything will go. So his solution, you need water and you need large grasslands, which is obvious. That is why we have wild area today. Right? The largest animal elephant gathering in the world. How? Because the backdrop, the drawdown, is plenty of grass. So we have examples. How many have studied those? We can use it to increase the capacity. I'll go further down. 3 of my students, when remote sensing came to this country first in 1964 or 65, with Mr. Jayathilaka from the survey department, he came to me and said, sir, apita me amutu තාක්ෂණයක් කියනවා. land use satellite පාවිච්චි කරලා remote sensing කරලා අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මම සර්ගේ ළමයි නැද්ද මම කිව්වා මම ළමයි 3 දෙනෙක් දෙන්නම්. උඩවලවේ වස්ගමුව and Madhuroya. I got them to plot the landscape, and 1 mile beyond, I have the maps with me, the survey department has the details. I forget all the values, but Udawalave I can tell you, by looking at this interpretation. Scrubland so much, density of elephants so much, tall forest so much, density is so much. Udawalawe had about 273 or 75 animals, elephants possible. Many years later, 85, 86, not even later than that, somebody should correct me the real dates, Dr. Shamin De Silva did 5 years of work and came up and said there are 350 permanent resident elephants in Udawalawe. Now, without spending 5 years, just spending maybe 1.5 months inside the survey department and at the campus, we come up with 275. Bad or good? I think it's good enough, because what you want? You want a solution. So see, today what is the situation? Just last evening somebody asked me, I said, use the science, you have the answer. Today we have Landsat on the computer, on this gadget, free. If you really want to get fine detail, yes, you got to pay to get it. But should it not be done? Interpret the landscape in the protected area networks. How much time do you need? I would say 3 months is more than enough if you are really dedicated to doing it. Look at what is there and answer this question. Where is the valuable forest that we think is valuable? Sometimes it is crazy. There are 4 patches inside Singaraja which is being changed by climate change. I said, nah? Has anybody visited these 4 sites? No. It's there. A Sri Lankan student in the States, along with a couple of other guys, published it in 2022, that there are 4 patches inside Singaraja World Heritage that is being subject to climate change. What NDV6 or NDVI or whatever it is, change of color in the vegetation is interpreted as result of climate change, not having visited inside. So do the same with the elephant silio. So we have a problem. Either we are afraid of modern technology, even when they wanted to count elephants almost a month ago. I said, why are you doing this? You want to know how many elephants? Use thermal energy from up there and you can get all the elephants in one shot, all over the country. It is possible. Technology exists. We didn't have drones, but today you have a drone also. Our first test with the drone went off to Malaysia, if you can remember, right? Kauda me, Sabragamu isne, Inoka. Her supervisor came with the drone and he had forgotten to change the safety limit. The fellow went off the zone and went off to Malaysia. We only realized it because we lost it. Then he said, can't do anything. This was 2013 or 13. Lost it, everything gone. But sad, today the drone technology is being used for much of these things that we can do. We are not doing it. So at the end of the day, I am saying electric fence, yes, but as village fences and crop fences, not to protect the animals in their own terrain. If you are going for that, then we must increase the habitat facility for the elephants inside the park, which also is part of the solution. According to Pruthu, 70% of the elephants in this country were on the assessment side is outside the protected areas. So it's a conflict all the time. And why it is so is because near scrub and much good food is there. So I think, as I said, Ahimsa did part of the study. Pruthu has done all the mapping and all of these things. Though Pruthu doesn't agree, no, you can't do that, sir, they won't. He said, don't say they won't. We have to keep pushing them to do it. I am saying it because if you don't do it, there is nothing. You can't keep on doing this. Because what is the number of people dying today? Over 150 people are being killed. Elephants. How many elephants? 400 plus. Can we do it? Can we allow that to happen? No. I don't think that is permissible. So we have to find better ways. Tolerance totally gone in the people. Those days, I know when I was there, people say, I use aliyata nam monath karanna depa. මං කොයිද අලියට මොනවත් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ වගාව බේරන්නේ කොහොමද? නැස ඒක කමන්න නැස ඉඳලා හිටලා නියුව ඉන්නේ. එහෙනම් මං ගෝ අය ගිහිල්ලා කම්ප්ලේන් කරන්නේ ඩිවිෂනල් කවුන්සිල් ආරෙම ගිහින්. ඒ කියන්නේ නැතුවත් බෑනේ සර්. That is the way it happened. Catch the fellow and bring him. Everybody feeds the fellow, bathes the fellow, වතුරෙන් ගන්න ඔක්කොම කරන compensation 100%. Compassion 100%. There was one animal, I won't go into the details, which had a bit of a mental problem because it didn't like men. It had killed 13 people, all males, but it didn't kill a single female, even in contact. So see what elephant is, right? The fellow died, ended up at Pinnavela and died blind. ඔයාලා බලන්න විස්තර තියෙනවා. හරි? That animal had killed only males. And the villager said, sir, ගෑනු යනකොට කිසි ගානක් නැහැ. ඔව් බලන්නෙත් නැහැ. එක තැනක කතාවක් කියන සර් වතුර බොන්න ඇවිල්ලා රෙදි හොදන කෙනා යනකම්ම හිටියා. ඉතින් මං කෝ ඉතින් රෙදි හොදන ඒ බවලත් කෙනෙක් නේ හිටියේ. ඉතින් බවලත් කෙනා රෙදි හොද යනකම් හිටියා. මොනවද කියන්නේ? ආනමඩුවේ it used to hang around all of this area. It hated men. So it killed men. That is the mental picture. So when we know all of these things background, I think handling elephants is not an issue really. But we have to be very, very... Okay, go to Wilpattu. Where do people go to look at elephants in Wilpattu? යන මිනිස්සුන්ගෙන් අහන්න අලි බලන්න විල්පත්තු කොහටද යන්නේ කියලා. The thing is we don't know the history here. That's the other sad part, right? Till about 1985 or 86, the area where people are today going to watch elephants was a paddy field, Pomparippu. Open landscape, marsh area. That is where the elephant is, not in the good forest. To see an elephant from Nochiyagama entrance, Disilwa Vava කියලා තියෙනවා. පයක් ගණන් සමහරලාට බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා අලියෙක් කියලා නෑ. You don't see. Why? Very good forest. Very low density. So there are living examples for this. Electric fence, I think it has come to the limit. And then this putting fences in between forest and wildlife has to stop. But more importantly, the answer is imprison yourself. Village fence කියන්නේ ඒකනේ. අපිනේ කිව්වේ human elephant coexist කියලා 2006. I was the chairman of that committee, no. So I am responsible for what I have done. But I say that was 2006. This is 2025. At that time, we wanted coexistence. But the solution, electric fence around villages, crop fences when the crop is maturing and you need to protect it, crop fence, which is a temporary structure. When you finish, take the crop fence out, let the elephants come and eat. Ipanella kanda denda. Let them feed, do anything like that, no issue, because there's no value in it. But your own area, your protected area, you have to seal yourself. So imprison yourself. The elephants are going to roam over. But today I am a little away from that. I am saying it's not possible anymore because we have also gone beyond our limits of villages and things like that and all that. We need the elephants, but let's try to let them live in peace. So why not we convert our habitat areas? This is all land use issues at the end of the day. And if we think that we are not going to encroach more land into the future, we are mutts, right? We have no sense of what is happening in our country. People will continue to encroach. It is going to happen as long as we, even with all the talk that we have a land use policy, it's very difficult to enable it to happen. If it happens, fantastic. So ultimately, I think we must confine the animals. We must also know what is the limit of numbers that we want. Either they will take over or we have to take over. That I don't agree. We don't have to take over. We can live in harmony. That potential does exist. but we have to decide that on basis of our numbers and relations. And if we are setting aside, I thought it was 26%, but okay, I still think in the statistics it comes to about 26% protected areas. We should be able to do it. 26 multiplied, if you do the calculations, it comes to a hell of a lot of elephants, or at least 10 or 20,000 animals. That is a little high. But if it is 7 or 9, we can keep it about 10 or 15 inside the parks, why not? Or else go back to what it was. If you have 800 elephants in Kerala, 1,000 elephants in Kerala at one festival, and all beautiful tuskers, one has to see these things to know what elephants are. They are not just the wild animal. We have had it. Don't we like to see the Dalada Perahara? There's no question about it. All about it is the elephants. So we have to blend ourselves. We can't go to extremes. I know there are some people who go to extremes. Somebody came and asked me, so how can you put a chain around the elephant? I said, oh, hold it. I said, do you have a dog? Do you take it out for walks? I said, yes. How do you take it out for walks? You have to put a leash according to the law. A dog along your foot, unless it's a very sincere dog, is not even permitted by law. By law, if you are taking a dog on public, you have to have it at the end of a leash. And that is just a small piece of rope, because that is a dog. How do you take an elephant with a leash? It has to be a chain. So what is the difference? We don't seem to realize that. If it was not part of our culture, we can talk about it that way. But it is part of our culture. Sometimes there are acultural people in this country also, so we have to be trying to tolerate them also. But I don't think that is a major issue. The major issue is that we need to be looking at it in a very scientific way so that we can tackle it at the end of the day. Right. I think a lot of time has been taken. Thank you for the question. Deviated a lot from anyway.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් වශයෙන් අප සැම වර්තමානයේ මුහුණ දෙන මෙම ගැටලුවේ දිග පළල ගැඹුර විද්‍යාත්මකව දකින්නට ඒ පිළිබඳව පුදුල දැනුමක් ඇති විද්වතෙක් අද අප සමග එකතු වුණා. ඒ කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ සත්ව විද්‍යා සහ පාරිසරික විද්‍යාංශයේ සම්මානිත මහාචාර්ය සරත් කොටගම මහතා. ඔබතුමාට බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි එම හරවත් දේශනයේ සහ සංවාදයට. අද දින දේශනයේ සහ සංවාදයේ සම්පත්දායකයා වූ මහාචාර්ය සරත් කොටගම මහතාගේ පැමිණීම අගය කිරීම වස් කුඩා තිරණයන් පිළිගැන්වීමට විද්‍යා විවර්ධන සංගමේ ගරු ලේකම් කතිකාචාර්ය ඉරේෂා අත්තනායක මහත්මියටයි මෙම ආරාධනය. අප සැම රටක් විදිහට කාලීනව මුහුණ දෙන මෙම ගැටලුවේ මංපෙත් විවර කිරීමට මෙම විද්වත් කතිකාව සංවිධානය කිරීමට උරදුන් බොහෝ දෙනා සිටිනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා විද්‍යාභිවර්ධන සංගමේ විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්ති කමිටුවේ ලේකම් කතිකාචාර්ය ගිහානි ජයවීර මෙනවියටයි මේ ආරාධනය ස්තුති කතාව කිරීමට.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි ආචාර්ය ජයරු. විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්ති කමිටුවේ අපේ සභාපතිතුමා ආචාර්ය සමීර සමරසේකර මැතිතුමා වෙනුවෙන් අද දවසේ ස්තුති කතාව කිරීමටයි මගේ මේ සූදානම. ඉතින් දීර්ඝ කතාබහක් හැබැයි මේ වගේ දැවෙන ප්‍රශ්න වලට විසඳුම් හොයනකොට ඒ වගේ දීර්ඝ කතාබහ වලට යොමු වෙන්න වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම සර් මට තියෙන කනගාටුව සර්ට මහාමායකේ රිලව් හම්බ වෙලා තිබුණට හයි ස්කූල් එකේ හිටපු ඩිසිප්ලින් රිලව් හම්බ වෙලා නැති එක තමයි මගේ කනගාටුව. මොකද ලස්සනට ක්ලාස් රූම් වලට පැනලා ලන්ච් බොක්ස් එකේ කෑම කාලා ලන්ච් බොක්ස් එක වහලා සිප් එකත් වහලා යන තරම් ඩිසිප්ලින් රිලව් තමයි ඇත්තටම හයි ස්කූල් එකේ හිටියේ. ඉතින් ඒ මතකයත් එක්ක අපේ ආරාධනය පිළිගෙන අද දවසේ මේ වැඩසටහනට සම්පත්දායකත්වයේ දැක්වූ සම්මානිත මහාචාර්ය සරත් කොටගම මැතිතුමනි, ඔබතුමාට අපගේ ගෞරවපූර්වක ස්තුතිය මේ අවස්ථාවේදී පිරිනමනවා. විද්‍යාව සමාජගත කරමින් විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්තිය සඳහා අපගත් උත්සාහය අගයනුවස් අද දවසේ කෙටි වේලාවකට හරි අපිත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච විද්‍යා හා තාක්ෂණ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ගරු ලේකම්තුමා මොහොමඩ් නවී මැතිතුමාටත් අපගේ ස්තුතිය. ඒ අතරම සත්ව පලිබෝධ කළමනාකරණය කිරීමේ ගැටලුවේ පාර්ශවකරුවන් බොහෝ දෙනෙක් අද දවසේ අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වුණා. කෘෂිකර්ම පශු සම්පත් හා ඉඩම් වාරිමාර්ග අමාත්‍යාංශ නියෝජනය කරමින් වනජීවී සංරක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව නියෝජනය කරමින් විශේෂයෙන්ම හෙක්ට කොබ්බෑකඩුව ගොවි පරිරේෂණ හා පුහුණුව ආයතනයේ ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරීන් සහ අධ්‍යක්ෂකතුමා ඇතුළු පර්යේෂණ නිලධාරීන් රැසක් අපිත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වුණා. වන සංරක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව නියෝජනය කරමින් කෘෂි දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව නියෝජනය කරමින් ඒ වගේම කෘෂි කාර්මික හා ගොවිජන රක්ෂණ මණ්ඩලයේ නිලධාරීන් ජාතික ජලජ සම්පත් පර්යේෂණ හා සංවර්ධන ආයතනයේ නිලධාරීන් රැසක් අද දවසේ අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වුණා. ඉතින් අපිත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වීම පිළිබඳ අපේ බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතිය පුද කර සිටිනවා. ඒත් එක්කම විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ආචාර්ය මහත්මීන් ඒ වගේම ශ්‍රී ලංකා විද්‍යා විවර්ධන සංගමයේ ගරු සභාපතිතුමා, නිලධාරී මණ්ඩලය, සියලුම සමාජිකාවන් ඒත් එක්කම විද්‍යා ව්‍යාප්ති කමිටුවේ සමාජිකාවන් විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ වැඩසටහනට ප්‍රධාන සංවිධායක ශක්තිය වූ අපේ ආචාර්ය ආශානි තිලකරත්න මහත්මිය සහ ආචාර්ය හසිනි පෙරේරා මම මේ වෙලාවේ විශේෂයෙන්ම මතක් කරන්න ඕන. මොකද ඔවුන් දෙන්නාගේ අප්‍රතිහත උත්සාහයක ප්‍රතිඵලයක් විදිහට තමයි අද මේ වැඩසටහන මේ විදිහට මේ ස්ලාස් එක ඇතුලේ දිග හැරෙන්නේ. ඒත් එක්කම නම සඳහන් කරන්න බැරි වුණත් හැම අයුරකින්ම මේ වැඩසටහන සාර්ථක කරගන්න අපට දායකත්වයේ දක්වපු ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි. ඉතින් යලිත් දවසක මේ වගේම විද්වත් කතිකාවතකින් විද්‍යා ව්‍යාපෘති වැඩසටහනකින් සම්බන්ධ වෙමු. ඒ වගේම මම හිතන්නේ මට වැදගත්ම කොට්ටාශයක් අමතක වුණා. අපේ මාධ්‍ය ආයතන වලින් නියෝජනය කරමින් විශේෂයෙන්ම සිරස TV, දෙරණ TV, ලංකාදීප විදුසර ඇතුළු සියලුම මාධ්‍ය ආයතන නියෝජනය කරමින් මාධ්‍ය ආවරණය සඳහා අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වුණු ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටමත් ස්තුතියි. ඉතින් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ වැඩසටහනේ හරය ඔබේ මාධ්‍ය හරහා සමාජගත කරන්නට අපිට උදව් කරයි කියලා මේ විද්‍යා ව්‍යාපෘති වැඩසටහන වෙනුවෙන්. බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි.